the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Big 12 football action. And this should be a fun one here, as the roles have been reversed. If you take a look at tradition, it was Nebraska that has dominated this series. Last year they won in a double overtime. KU won the previous year here. The tide had started to turn then, as it turns out, and it's Kansas that comes in unbeaten, and Bill Callahan playing for his coaching life at 26-21 in his 4th year as the head coach at Nebraska. After a year ago going 9-5, Big 12 North champs, and losing in the Big 12 championship game, it has been a somewhat disastrous turnaround. Mark Mangino, the opposite. Last year they went 6-6, 3-5 in the North. They lost 4 games that basically, if you turned around one play, they could have had 10 wins. This year, it's all going right for the Hawks, and they are unbeaten.
Well, Bill, they learned to finish. You know, and you finished football games last year, you are 10-2. And potentially go into a big bowl. This year 8-0, and you know, not only have they won 8 games, they've won 11 of their last 12. And they're a good football team, and they're playing very sound, fundamentally sound football, and people really respect them.
Kicking off, Adi Kunalik, a 6-foot, 175-pounder out of Fort Worth, Texas. Herford and McAnderson are deep, and this one will be downed. And KU will get it 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line. So the Jayhawks, they come in averaging 42.5 points a game. And the Jayhawks, with Herford downing that kick, will send out their sophomore quarterback, Todd Reesing, to lead the way. And this kid has really been phenomenal, as Reesing has thrown for 17 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. Liberty Mutual with our starting lineups here, and we'll have a chance to follow up on this offensive line that has been sound, led by Anthony Collins, and the dual running back combination of Sharp and McAnderson that almost have identical numbers, although very different styles. 1st and 10 from the 20, and McAnderson pushes forward for a couple against the University of Nebraska defense. The Huskers, their woes have really been on the defensive side of things, as they're allowing 31 points a game, and their run defense is last in the nation, allowing 242 yards a contest. Zach Potter, one of those up front. Their linebacking corps has been decimated by injuries. Octavian, McEwen, and Workman get the start today, and you take a look at the rest of the starting 11. 2nd and 9 for Kansas here on their opening possession. McAnderson. Not going down easy, but stopped at the 24-yard line.
Yeah, when you look at this Nebraska defensive football team, they've been really racked by injuries at the linebacker position. Bo Rude, Blake Lawrence, the number 1 and number 2 strong side linebackers, neither one traveled today to Lawrence, Kansas. So it really puts a real damper on things as you're trying to figure out a way to stop the running game.
Henry and Fields wide to the right on a throwing situation. 3rd and 6. Reesing rolling out and incomplete. Just off the fingertips of Derek Fine, the senior from Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Murillo was covering for Nebraska in the secondary. That Husker defense survives the first test.
Well, what they wanted to do, Bill, was quiet the Kansas crowd. And the best way to quiet them is to make the Kansas offense, the explosive Jayhawk offense, go 1, 2, 3 and out.
Courtney Grixby is the deep man, as the punter Kyle Tucker is on for Kansas. He's averaging 38 plus a kick. Last week in the win at A&M, he averaged over 43.
Got it.
This one, they put the heat on and deflected. Nebraska staying away out near the 45-yard line, and it is Nebraska with great field position.
Amukamara got the block.
Prince Amukamara got a hand on it, and Nebraska, their special teams has been a positive for them.
Well, and they knew that they had to compete with Kansas, who they've returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns, 2 punts for touchdowns, only team in college football to do that. And Nebraska gets a short field. So Nebraska comes out 1, 2, 3 and out. They shut the Jayhawk offense down, and then in the kicking game, deflect the punt and get a short field. And that's a nice way to start if you're getting your first starter quarterback like Joe Gans is.
Gans came on after Keller got hurt last week against Texas. has time and completes it across the middle. And then the Kansas defense is all over swarming Sean Hill. James Holt leading the way. Liberty Mutual provides our starting lineups here for both sides, and we'll take a look at Nebraska and Joe Gans, the junior from Palos Heights, Illinois. He threw for a touchdown in his brief time in the Texas game. You see Lucky, who is a great dual performer. They've also got 3 receivers with 25-plus catches in Swift, Purify, and Nunn.
Gans on the season now is 11 for 18, and in those 11 completions, he's thrown 4 touchdown passes. That's including this first play today.
2nd and 6 after that 4-yard pass. And Lucky is smothered near the 41-yard line. Jake Laptad. This is a Kansas defense that is truly too deep. They play a lot of folks, and they are all very solid. Their defense, again, Liberty Mutual providing the lineups, led up front by James McClinton, an All-American candidate. You're looking at Aqib Talib, who anchors their secondary, is also an outstanding receiver when needed. And they've got a couple of monsters at linebacker in Holt and Joe Mortensen. It is 3rd down and 5 on Nebraska's first possession, trying to take advantage of a short field after the block punt. The pitch out. Halu has the first down. He gets across the 36 to the 35 and 34-yard line, and Mike Rivera making the stop for Kansas.
Well, there was a missed tackle by Thornton. Justin Thornton was there to make the play, and he missed the tackle, overran the play, and the first down is registered after that miss. So the option was defended well, but in space, running back makes defender miss, move the chains for the Cornhuskers.
France Hardy comes wide left. Halu is the lone back behind the quarterback Gans to throw it on first down. And he does complete it. And Nebraska fumbles the football, but he was down near the 20-yard line. The receiver, France Hardy, a senior out of Miami. Rivera with the hit. And speaking of turnovers, that's maybe the biggest difference between these two teams, Dave, is Kansas
is -9 and Nebraska's +11. And another missed tackle. Kendrick Harper in space here misses a tackle. I mean, he's there to make the play and just misses, overshoots. Nice little move, a tight spin move right there by Hardy. But man, you got to make that tackle in space. That's 2 missed tackles out in space for Jayhawk defenders, which is rare.
1st and 10 here for the Huskers. The handoff, nothing doing this time. No gain that time for Halu, rather for Lucky, as Russell Borson makes the stop here.
Well, and when you look at Kansas defensively, it is rare for them to miss tackles. They line up right, they hit the right gaps, they support properly, they don't make mistakes, and they're sure tacklers. And Mark Mangino's not happy with on consecutive plays having defenders in one-on-one situations whiffing on tackles.
Opening possession for the Huskers, 10:38 to go first quarter. They stopped KU, got a hand on a punt, and operate with a short field, a 2nd and 10 right now. Play action, and Gans in trouble, and intended for Hill. Well covered there, though, as Holt, again, putting the pressure on. James Holt, 6'3", 220, a junior linebacker out of Altus, Oklahoma, who's been at double-figure tackles the last 2 games. So Bill Callahan comes up with the call on 3rd and 10, Dave.
Little naked bootleg here, Bill. Not fooled at all. And nice defensive play right there by Resby at safety, making a play on the tight end, not allowing him an opportunity, Sean Hill, to make a play on the football. Big down right here for both football teams.
3rd and 10. Lucky right next to Gans. Out of the gun this time. Gans' first start this season. And it is complete inside the 5-yard line, and Nebraska knocking on the door with Purify on the reception. Mortensen makes the tackle. Maurice Purify getting his 34th reception of the season.
On this particular play, Jake Lapdad got a hit right up the middle. They ran a twist, end tackle twist. Lapdad comes through clean and makes the hit, and that's a courageous quarterback. Gans throws the football with Lapdad in his face and throws the strike. And that's just an outstanding play by a quarterback under duress.
First down and goal to go from the 3. Phillips leading the way for Lucky. And Lucky is stacked up. Well, I don't think he got anything. Holt again leading the way for Kansas. And let's take a look again at Kansas defensively here in our Prudential report. We'll give you an idea of what the Hawks expect up to on the defensive end, is allowing just 10 points a game. And take a look at their red zone D.
They don't let people in there very often. This is only the 14th time. This is the 9th football game that there's been a red zone penetration. And in 5 occasions, they've allowed no points. Let's see what happens on this 14th opportunity.
2nd and goal. Play action. Gans underthrowing, had an opportunity there, couldn't capitalize on it. Aqib Talib was covering.
Yeah, Aqib Talib bit on the play fake, and he tried to reach and grab the receiver, but it was too late. And if the ball was thrown accurately, it's a touchdown for Nebraska. Talib, watch him on the edge here. He's fooled. He bites on it, and now it's too late for him to make a play on it. But Gans does not get the football out there accurately enough for it to be a very easy touchdown.
Looking for Hunter Tiafatiller, and it's now a 3rd and goal. Gans to throw it again. Got time now. He'll keep the football, and Gans dives in for the opening touchdown, Nebraska.
That's what I talked about with Gans, creating plays with his feet, creating and extending plays. Mark Mangino disappointed that Nebraska gets on the scoreboard first. His defense did a pretty good job in the red zone, but you have a quarterback that runs that 4.5 40, has the quick jackhammer feet, and he sees a little bit of a lane there, a little bit of a seam to take advantage of. Everybody's plastering Nebraska receivers. He said, I got to take this myself. That's pretty good explosiveness and athleticism out of the quarterback.
Alex Henry, the kicker, hasn't missed this season and is still perfect. 27 of 27 for Henry. 6'2", 170 redshirt freshman, stunned. 424 is all it took. A block punt keyed an 8-play, 46-yard drive. Our Toyo Tires scoring drive, and Nebraska on the board first. And now, after Gans TD, Adi Kunalik will kick it off again for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Herford and McAnderson are deep. Herford, the best in the country. Bring it on out. 15, got a block, the 20, 25, and knocked out of bounds near the 32-yard line by Major Colbert of Nebraska. Herford averaging 31 yards per kickoff return, tops in the country. He's taken 2 to the house already this season. Now let's take a look at our principal financial scouting report, first of all, for the Huskers.
Well, what they want to do is quiet the crowd. You know, get rid of that 12th man, and they did. They stopped Kansas 1-2-3 and out, deflect a punt, and score a touchdown. They want to establish a running game. They're going a little bit in red zone execution. They score a touchdown, their first red zone opportunity. Joe Gans keeping the play alive and taking it himself, so they accomplished 2 of their 3 goals immediately.
Reese comes out fire on 1st and 10 and completes it to Dexton Fields, a 200-pound junior, a 6-footer from Dallas. Zach Bowman makes the tackle. Now let's take a look at the Kansas side. Again, Principal Financial Group providing our scouting report.
Well, they run it for 200 and throw it for 200, and they're balanced within the balance. They involve everybody. Handle success. They got a lot of attaboys this week. Attaboy, you're 8-0. Sometimes handling success is tougher than handling with adversity, and they want to respect the football. They're plus 11. Nebraska's minus 9. They want that to continue in the turnover department.
2nd and 7. Reesing fires it to McAnderson. Breaks the tackle and more. 50. Cuts it back and across to inside the 30-yard line. Brandon McAnderson, known as B-Mac, and brought down by Steve Octavian, the will linebacker of the Huskers, and now it is Kansas knocking on the door.
Well, McAnderson doesn't have the breakaway speed that Sharp does. Sharp may have taken this maybe to the house, but McAnderson has great vision. And that's a poor angle right there taken, and now he picks up blocks in the perimeter. 2 poor angles by Nebraska. They underestimated the functional football speed of McAnderson. He doesn't lose speed in pads. He carries his pads big time.
A 41-yard run, his longest of the season. Now they bring Jake Sharp back in, and he cuts it up for a few. A sophomore out of Salina, Kansas, and Kevin Dixon makes the tackle. Anderson, a 41-yard pickup. His previous best was 40 against A&M last weekend down in College Station.
I think that was a forward pass, though, wasn't it? I think they may have ruled that a pass. But still, that's a big play. That's an explosive play. Anytime you generate a play over 20 yards, it goes down in the explosive category.
Yeah, beg your pardon. His best receiving yardage was 38. And this time 41 on the reception. The pitch back to Reese.
Flea flicker.
And it is complete inside the 15-yard line as Briscoe makes the grab. Thought they might go deep, but they complete it, and Green makes the tackle.
Well, if you fashion yourself to be a championship team, you have to answer. Nebraska gets on the board first. Kansas comes storming back. Big play to McAnderson, little flea flicker, get Nebraska playing on their heels defensively instead of their toes. Executed well. Great decision making by Reesing.
Briscoe and Fields go wide left. 1st and 10 now. The 13-yard line of Nebraska. Only the second time that the opponent has scored first against Kansas this year as Nebraska jumped out early. K-State did it. KU came back to win that one. This ball is dropped at the 8-yard line.
In fact, Bill, in 480 minutes of football coming into today's game, Kansas has played from behind only 20 minutes and 7 seconds. They have played with the lead all year long.
Here's our Prudential Red Zone D. And Nebraska, they have certainly struggled in this area. You see, worst in the Big 12.
This is the 40th penetration into the red zone. People have been running up and down the field like a track meet against this Nebraska defense.
Henry wide right. They look that way, Reesing does, then comes out, going in the end zone and tipped by 2 different players, one from each club. Bowman got a touch on it, and it falls to the field. Intended for Briscoe.
Jake Sharp did a good job blocking to give Reesing an opportunity to get out of pocket and extend the play. Watch him right here. Sharp, a little chip. Now pick him up. Again, nice block. Excellent effort. Tip football, as you described it, Bill, by Bowman. And the rerouted football gets on top of the receiver before he can react. Briscoe gets eaten up by the tip ball.
Keep an eye on Kerry Meyer, the former quarterback and the backup, who's playing more and more as a wideout. Meyer, 10 receptions on the year. Reesing got Meyer, and a touchdown, Kansas. They answered.
They did. Meyer in the slot, ran a little post. Big answer.
Kerry Meyer with a TD reception. Meyer this year has passed for 2. He has run for our TD, and now on the receiving end he scores. And that'll bring on Scott Webb for the PAT.
He's at the top of the screen, runs a little post. Reesing's got his eyes glued on him. Kerry Meyer, 6'3", 220, overpowers people for the touchdown.
And the point after is good. And a 13-yard TD pass sets up Scott Webb for the PAT. Well, you wonder how Kansas would answer when Nebraska jumps out on top after blocking a punt and then a short drive. Well, how about that? They take care of business, and Meyer gets the TD reception.
You have a double slot. Meyer's going to run a post, and so is Dexton Fields. Right here, Asante, he starts to cheat and gets beaten on the inside post. Gets confused a little bit. But you have 2 skinny posts run right behind each other. It's amazing. And Kansas scores a touchdown, well executed, gets Asante fooled a little bit, jumps to the outside, makes it an easy lane for the quarterback receiver Meyer to take advantage of.
Toyo Tire scoring drive, 68 yards, took just 2:10. Now the kickoff, and the ball goes to Grigsby on the kick from Webb. To the 25, and then into a pile near the 30-yard line is Courtney Grigsby, a 5'9", 170-pound senior from Omaha. Chris Harris made the stop for the University of Kansas, and 8-yard return. So with 6:32 to go in this first quarter, 7-7, and we'll see how Nebraska answers as they get their second possession.
And Kansas doesn't like playing from behind. As I mentioned, 480 minutes of football coming into today, behind for just 20 minutes of it. They weren't behind for very long. Nebraska scored. Kansas came roaring right back down the field to tie it up. They don't like being behind people.
1st and 10 for Gans, and he tucks it under, and he's hit hard as they close quickly. James Holt making the tackle for the Jayhawks. Gans last year a backup to Zach Taylor. Completed 54% of his passes for 122 yards and 3 TDs. This first down marker is brought to you by Overstock.com. Your entire order ships for just $2.95 at Overstock.com. Live better with Overstock.com. It's all about the O.
You know who showed me something that first drive, Bill, was Joe Gans. Jake Lapdad was right in his face, and he completed a ball under pressure, and then he extended the play and took it to the end zone for himself for a score. He's creative back there.
2nd and 5, and the handoff right up the middle and to the 38-yard line. Lucky stopped by Rivera and Holt in that KU defense.
Rivera's got some size to him. 6'3", 255-pound linebacker that's playing at that weak side position. That means he can run a little bit. And in Kansas, they all play their gaps beautifully. Gap control responsibility, get off blocks, and usually tackle very well. First possession for Nebraska, they missed some tackles in space.
Kansas defense tops in the Big 12 in fewest points allowed at 10.2, and in total defense allowing just 263.9 per game in total yardage.
Wow.
Somebody forgot Lucky. He's at the 50, the 40, a foot race. Lucky will score as he stays in bounds, and Nebraska gets another 6.
Yeah, that breaks Johnny Rogers' record set in 1972. His 56 catch goes to the house. How about that?
Marlon Lucky, what a way to move into some special company as Harper missed the tackle, and Lucky gives Nebraska a 6-point lead pending the kick from Alex Henry.
Harper was trying to recover, very uncharacteristic, a brain cramp. Big mistake in coverage for Kansas. Lucky's wide open.
And the kick is good. Henry boots it straight through, and with 4:58 to go in the first quarter, Nebraska touchdown after the opening possession of Kansas was stopped with a block punt. And this time Lucky 62 yards on the receiving end, and the Toyo Tire scoring drive, if you'll call it that, zip 134, and it took just 3 plays.
That's Lucky's 2nd touchdown reception of the season. He's rushed for 6, now he's caught 2. He's a touchdown maker himself, big play guy, and we'll show you what happened, how he got so wide open after the kickoff here.
Yeah, Kansas is going to look at the game tapes and go, wait a minute, we didn't catch any breaks. Herford takes it at the 2. 15, looking for a block, and now brings it over the other side. He's at the 30, the 40, and Herford near midfield scampers out of bounds, and Kansas is sitting pretty again. Anthony Blue was the cover man. Let's go back to that touchdown, and Dave, let's show him what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is the old pick play. Watch Maurice Purify come down and pick off Holt. Holt's faking a blitz. He knows he's got Lucky out of the backfield. Holt tries to come out. Purify picks his bones clean. It's not supposed to be allowed. Boom, picks him clean. And there goes Lucky off to the races. Nobody in the vicinity, and trying desperately to close the gap and make a play as Harper, but Lucky can scoot, and he was Gandhi.
And a 48-yard kick return sets KU up 1st and 10 at the 50. Reesing unloads and incomplete. Let's check in now with John Radigan and a Dr. Pepper game break.
All right, Bill Land, thank you very much. Ohio State trying to run their record to 10-0, and they get the touchdown pass from Todd Beckman to Brian Robisky. He's the son of the great Terry Robisky, formerly of LSU, an NFL career, and now a coach with the Dolphins. He coaches wide receivers. He's got to be proud of his son. Ohio State up 7-3.
Thank you, John. Look forward to keeping us up to date throughout the afternoon. Henry, one of the wideouts, is Reesing, tossing, looking, got him, and Henry makes the reception. Boy, what a nice touch pass and great reception at the 30 of Nebraska. Murillo covered.
Murillo at 6 feet, and Henry's at 6'4". And at this point, Reesing's saying, I'm going to get it airborne and let my bigger receiver make the contested catch. The problem that took place there, Murillo never turned to find the football.
Henry, their leading receiver, coming in with 32 for 585 yards, tops on the KU charts in both categories, and a 1st and 10 at the 30 for the Jayhawks. And the handoff to Sharp, cuts it right back up and gets it across the 25 to the 24-yard line. John Radigan filling us in Ohio State. Let's send it down now to Emily Jones with a little bit more on this one.
Well, guys, as you know, Nebraska's problems this season have been well chronicled, but in talking to Bill Callahan this week, he said, you know what, we've got a great group of kids, and this group of kids does not give up. We try to harp on the things that are going right. A few things are going right for the Cornhuskers today as they are on top in this one. You know what else he said, guys? You know what, sometimes you just got to be a little lucky. He's got a good lucky, and he has had some good luck today as well.
Here's the end around, and Henry, he may score. Bumped out of bounds near the 1-yard line. Boy.
Man,
we're talking about defense. Nobody's playing any defense. The offenses are owning this thing.
Both offensive coordinators are in a great groove. Ed Warner with a great call. Watch the blocking on the edge here. Great block right there. Gets it going down the football field. That was Fields blocking for his partner. And down the football field a little further, Brandon McAnderson trying to get it done. When you have a big play like that, usually something took place on the edge with the wide receivers in terms of blocking people in Fields. Tip of the cap to you on that one.
23-yard pickup. Henry wide to the right side here. Well, first and goal. McAnderson brought down from behind. Great pursuit that time by Steve Octavian, the senior from Naples, Florida. Leading tackler for Nebraska, coming in with 60 stops on the year.
9 tackles for loss coming in, make it 10. And that was at a very key, critical time inside the 5-yard line. 6 feet, 240 pounds. Coming downhill, a run blitz, taking a big body to the turf. Wide open.
In the end zone, flag is thrown, ball incomplete as Murillo was covering on the play and intended for Henry again.
You know, and why not go to the 6'4" You know, in the red zone, those big wide receivers just get it up like Reesing is and go for the contested catch, and that's pass interference, just locking them up.
Pass interference. Defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. First down.
College football, it's at the 2-yard line, not the 1 like on Sundays. But you know it's not a bad play to make if you're beaten and you know you're beaten. Grab him. Don't let him make an easy play. And right there, grab the arms, make sure he doesn't catch. The worst thing is if you interfere like that and he catches the football, Murillo almost let that happen. You have to violently rake at those arms and don't even let him get his arms up in the air.
Henry and Fields go wide to the right side. And a first and goal to go from the 2-yard line now. And the pitch.
Easy.
Touchdown, Kansas, as McAnderson strolls into the end zone. He gets his 10th rushing touchdown of the season. And KU comes right back. And it's 14-13 now.
Amazing. This is like a tennis match. Who's going to hold serve, you know? And both of these teams have an answer for each other. And big play after big play. Is expecting a lower scoring football game than this, quite honestly, but boy, this has been an entertaining game.
Webb with a point after attempt. It is good. So after Kansas being stopped on the first series of the game, it's been touchdown, 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 touchdown.
Amazing. And once again, blocking, options run. Nobody has the pitch man. Look at the blocking in the end zone. I mean, that's just locking people out. Nice job, Dexton Fields. You had a heck of a series blocking. You look at him, just lock him up. Wouldn't even let him come out of the end zone. He just said, Grigsby, you're frozen 3 yards deep in the end zone. And Dexton Fields, he's an honorary lineman. He's an honorary hog the way he's blocking on the edge.
Boy, we had a day. You were talking earlier, Dave, about the record-setting catch by Lucky, joining the company of Johnny Rogers, and Reesing on that touchdown pass to Kerry Meyer ties Bill Whittemore for the all-time single-season TD mark in Kansas history with 18 in a year. Bill Whittemore here in 2003, and Kerry Meyer also working his way into history as Meyer getting with a running touchdown as well as a receiving touchdown and a passing touchdown, and that hadn't happened since Garfield Taylor back in 1981.
Man, it's been a day of football history here, and we're only in the first quarter. And I'll tell you, Reesing, 18 touchdowns, Bill, only 4 interceptions. 18 touchdowns, 4 picks. That ratio is huge.
And the kickoff. Grigsby from about the 11 to the 20, 25. Ooh. And upended and hit hard near the 30-yard line, just shy of that mark. Dakota Lewis with a stop for the Kansas Jayhawks. Whataburger with our leaders for this week here. And we'll take a look. Teams with 2 2 600-yard rushers? Well, you're looking at one of them here. Arkansas, of course, with their duo, West Virginia, everybody's heard about them. People are starting to hear about KU now.
No doubt about it. And the amazing thing is, we're talking about balance within the balance bill coming into today's game. McAnderson had 102 carries. Sharp had 105. And McAnderson's got a few more carries than Sharp today, so it's almost 50-50 balance in terms of distributing the ball to those two outstanding backs.
They average 6.3 per carry across the middle. This one deflected as Gans trying to light him up. Joe Mortensen got a hand on it.
He's disappointed he didn't hold on to it. He thought he had an interception there, trying to get the ball to Swift.
Here's a note for you. KU has trailed 5 times all season, and each of the last 4 times responded with a score to tie or go ahead on the next possession. And they've done so today.
Nice little pivot route run by Swift, but once again, Joe Mortensen taking a disciplined drop in defensive coordinators Bill Young's scheme. They know where to be, what to do.
Lucky the tailback on a 2nd and 10. Gans rolls out for Nebraska. We're even at 14. Incomplete near the 47-yard line of Kansas. Justin Thornton, a sophomore DB, breaking it up. He is out of St. Joe, Missouri Central High School. Got 3 picks this season.
And this is where Nebraska does not want to be. They don't want to be in 3rd and long against Bill Young, because Bill Young runs that nickel defense where he can give you multiple pressure looks. He's got 3 down linemen, and just about anybody can blitz. And right now, Joe Gans trying to get a pre-snap recognition. Who's going to come? Because they all could.
3rd and 10. Nebraska. Purify, the intended receiver, and Nebraska will have to punt it for the first time today. Harper covering on the play, and they're talking a lot about Kendrick Harper. He's a junior out of Georgia who is finally starting to get healthy. Had a wrist injury early on and came back in October, and Harper is a guy that they are really excited about his play out of Butler County Community College down the road here in Kansas.
And Bill, he's 5'9". That's what a lot of people are concerned about, but he's a $190. If he were 6'1", he'd weigh about 210. I mean, he's a good-sized cornerback, and he's not afraid of anything. This kid is a fearless football player. He will strike you.
Titchener, who's averaging 41.5 per kick, gets off a clean one, and it is taken at the 35-yard line. Anthony Webb, and Webb is brought down at the 38-yard line, but Kansas still getting very good field position, and Bo Davis making the stop. Let's send it down to Emily Jones.
Well, guys, we are pleased today to be a part of the broadcast of the American Forces Network, broadcasting in 177 countries around the world, serving our armed forces as well as ships across the sea. And we're very happy to have them with us. And just an example of some of the countries we are being seen in: Germany, Italy, South Korea, and Japan. Guys and gals, we are so glad you are with us. Please be safe, and thanks so much for all you do.
And God bless each and every one of you. And Emily's playing injured today. Emily's playing hurt today, Bill. Emily's my heroine.
Yeah, she's refusing to go on the injured reserve list today. So
That's
tip
right.
of the cap to Emily as well, and certainly echo her thoughts to all of our servicemen and women across the world. Allen making the tackle on that play, and now KU coming up with a 2nd down and 9. First quarter at 2:21 and ticking. And we're tied at 14, and just an incredible fast start here in Lawrence.
The reason we're able to enjoy this football game today in this country that we have is because you armed forces out there, and we thank you.
Sharp, they fake it to him. Reesing tosses it, and complete, and a first down across the 50 as Fine making the reception. Derek Fine had 3 grabs for 32 yards in the win against A&M, and he scored 3 times this year.
Watch this misdirection. Everybody's going here, little naked bootleg, lob the ball to Fine, athletic play. Man, how'd you like to be a linebacker there? Everything's going one direction. An athletic, quick-footed quarterback comes out the other way with his tight end, naked bootleg, get it to Fine. Great conception, great execution.
1st and 10, and again complete. Herford bumps into the receiver trying to make a block, and Jones makes the tackle.
Yeah, that was just an outstanding defensive play.
Yeah, they busted it up as Dexton Fields, the receiver.
Well, Watch, this is a great defensive effort because he breaks the blocker down and takes the blocker right back into his running back. I mean, that's just a physical effort out there by Jones. It's like, you're not going to get after me, Hereford. I'm under your pads, and I'm going to knock you back into your receiver who's trying to make the play, and he blew up Fields.
2nd and 11 for Reesing and crew as he rolls out. Throws it downfield and right on the spot. I'll tell you what, they originally listed him at 5'11", 200. They say he might be 5'9". It doesn't matter. This guy can play.
He can play, and get him out of pocket. Watch him get out of pocket, and he's going to check out his receiver down the football field. And watch here's where he's going. He's going down the field deeper into double coverage, lays it between the safety and corner. Nice job getting out of pocket, allowing him to have vision to see Fields down the football field.
And Dexton Fields picks up 25 yards on that reception. Another first down. This time they're going for 6, and they got it! Sharp in the end zone. Touchdown, Jayhawks! With a minute to go in the first quarter, Kansas is on the board again. McAnderson, a nice block to help set that play up.
And a matchup that you want to have, because you have running back on linebacker, and if you got Octavian trying to cover Sharp out of the backfield, that's a mismatch. And you're going to run right by a 6'1", 240-pounder. There's no way. Sharp is a track athlete in high school. That's a mismatch. Kansas capitalized.
And the point after is good by Webb, and Kansas takes the lead for the first time today as Kansas with Jake Sharp on the 26-yard pass reception from Reesing.
And the key is nobody is impeding the vision of quarterback Reesing. He has a clear line of vision. He sees Sharp matched up with Octavian. He starts to drool and lays it out there. Sharp was a great dual athlete in high school, running back and a track and field guy. He was 2005 Player of the Year in the state of Kansas. He can scoot.
And a big day for Reesing. Back down to Emily Jones.
Well, guys, we talked to Ed Warner, the offensive coordinator for Kansas, about Todd Reesing, and he said, you know what, no one told him, I don't think, that he's 5'9", 180. And we all said, really, he's 5'9", 180? He goes, you know what, I'll give him 5'10", 185. He may be small, but he plays awfully big.
He sure does. You know, that old saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And that young man, Todd Reesing, is a competitive, can-do guy. If you tell Reesing, nah, you're too small, you can't do it, he's got a chip on his shoulder about as big as a 2x4. That's a big old chip. And he's playing with a little attitude, and he's saying, I'm proving people wrong. He's like Drew Brees. I mean, he's like Chase Daniel. They were all said, you're too small. All these guys do is compete and succeed.
And they, too, were Texas high school quarterbacks. Reesing, the Texas 4A Player of the Year at Lake Travis in Austin. Nobody down there wanted him. Grigsby on the return. 30, 35, and Nebraska saying, all right, I guess it's our turn to come back now as they get a good return, and Springer makes the stop. Justin Springer here for the Kansas Jayhawks, and now the Huskers will have it 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line.
Bill, I think instead of this is a track meet, but there's not a baton, there's a football. And they're passing off the football instead of the baton. I mean, this is literally a track meet. Both offenses have a heck of a game plan, and they're getting mismatches. Football's all about getting favorable matchups. And right now, the offenses are creating all the favorable matchups.
Lawson and Lucky in the backfield as Gans hands it off to Lucky. Lucky cannot break it here. Mortensen makes the tackle. We're inside the final minute of the first quarter here at Kansas.
And this is the first lead that Kansas has had today. They've come from behind to tie it twice. They take a lead, so the defense responding to the offense, saying, hey, you know what, you hang 21 points on the board in the first quarter. All right, we're gonna buckle down and get after it here. We're a little embarrassed by allowing Nebraska to jump on us for 14.
Well, maybe the final play coming up in the quarter, 298 yards of offense, 182 for KU, 116 for Nebraska as we get ready to wrap up this first quarter here in Lawrence. And Gans wants to throw it and does, but it goes out of bounds, stops the clock with 7 seconds. Terrence Nunn, the intended receiver.
And Mortensen got a hit on Gans, and those hits will accumulate. Mortensen came on the blitz up the gut and got he was a free runner at quarterback Gans. And Gans is courageous now. He stays in that pocket till the last minute, delivers it, and most popular guy in the football team, not just because he's a backup quarterback, but because he's a really good guy. And they rally around Gans. And Mortensen, who initially said he was going to go to Nebraska, and changed his mind when Frank Solis said, you know, I'm no longer the Nebraska head coach. And here he is at Kansas having a great career right here.
Gans 4 of 10 for 90+ yards, and this one dropped across the middle. Wide open receiver Nate Swift, normally sure-handed, the junior out of Hutchinson, Minnesota. Can't find the handle this time. Sadiq Muhammad was covering for Kansas, and there's 2 seconds to go now in this first quarter, and Nebraska will kick it away. A slight breeze, but wind really not much of a factor in today's kicking.
If he catches that, he might have had the first down. I mean, the ball thrown slightly behind him, and if he catches it, if the ball's out in front, I'm not sure Muhammad takes him down. Gans threw the ball slightly behind Swift, or they might have been still on the football field.
Anthony Webb, a sophomore out of Dallas South Oak Cliff High School, is deep on Titchener's punt. Webb dropped it, picked it up, and then rocked hard near the 30-yard line, and Tenarce is the one that made the stop there for Nebraska. And a wild first quarter is finally over here in Lawrence, Kansas at Memorial Stadium. Gavisco. Wow, what a first quarter here in Lawrence. There's the KU possessions, a punt that was deflected and blocked, and then they answered with touchdowns of 68-yard drives, 50 and 62. And the Jayhawks have the lead 21-14 as we start the second quarter. And Jake Sharp and Meyer come in to join Reesing in the backfield, as Sharp, the lone back, now beside quarterback Reesing. And Sharp, who's got a touchdown, gets the carry here. Not much happening though, as Grigsby makes the stop. Meyer, McAnderson, and Sharp have scored for Kansas. Gans and Lucky have scored the TDs for Nebraska. A back and forth first quarter, and now KU a 2nd and 9 from their 31. Here to start the second after that first run by Sharp. Flag is thrown. Sharp on the receiving end, and he is brought down after a couple of hard-earned yards. Grigsby making the tackle, and will sort out the flag.
I think Kevin Dixon was in the neutral zone, the big defensive tackle for Nebraska, but was he drawn in the neutral zone, or did he jump?
Offside defense. Number 91. It'll be a 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
91. I thought it was 97. There is no 91. It was 97.
It was Dixon.
It was Dixon, yeah. And he jumped in the neutral zone. Here he is right here. He's going to, a little early, center snap in the football. Good job. Got him for a free 5.
Dixon's glad that the ref gave the wrong number.
Yeah.
2nd down and 4, ball on the 36. McAnderson in the backfield now. Reesing, quick out, and he completes it. And it's out of bounds near the 43-yard line to Marcus Henry. And here's John Radigan with another Dr. Pepper game break.
Bill Lynn, thank you. Georgia coach Mark Rich says Troy's a game you really wish wasn't on the schedule, to be honest. But Georgia, fresh off their victory over Florida, gets this run from Noshawn Moreno. Check him out as he waits for the block and then breaks the final tackle. 80 yards for a touchdown. Georgia up on top of the score right now, Bill.
All right, thanks very much, John. Troy certainly caught the attention nationally when they beat Oklahoma State in the non-conference portion of the season. And the Cowboys got a big one tonight against Texas down in Oklahoma. As here it is Kansas and Nebraska. Meyer, the receiver on this play. Green covering. And Kansas will hurry up here, picking up 4 on the play.
It's amazing. Kansas looks to the sideline for the offensive call. Nebraska's defense looks to the sideline for their defensive call. When you're in this no huddle spread attack up-tempo offense, you have to make adjustments, and Nebraska's getting their calls without a huddle as well defensively.
2nd down and 6 for Kansas. Reesing finds Henry, and short of the first down. Well, we'll see where they spot the football. They got a little bit of a break. T.R. Green makes the tackle near the 47-yard line.
There's a flag on Kansas. I think they might be calling fine for Or are they going to call Octavian? Octavian and Fine were locked up. Maybe they're going to call Octavian for holding Fine, or else Fine for offensive pass interference. Let's see which way it goes.
Defense, number 5. The hold occurred on an eligible receiver. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Well, that's on Murillo, if that's the case. Armando Murillo, a junior out of Tampa, Florida, came in with 7 breakups and 50 tackles.
Murillo saying, that's on me? What? I thought Octavian and Fine looked like they were messing around to me, and Octavian's wearing 15. So I'm not sure who the call was on, but nonetheless, it's a fresh set of downs for the Rock Chalk Jayhawks.
1st and 10 for the Jayhawks. 13-10 second quarter remaining. Jayhawks up 7, and they are at the 43 now of Nebraska. And Reesing out of the shotgun. Nearly picked off as they were bringing the receiver Briscoe back in toward the field of play, and he couldn't quite come up with it.
Well, they were trying to run that little alley screen, and Nebraska's pressure was extreme on Reesing. He had no time, no opportunity to throw the football, and they're unblocked. That's the big boy. That's Zach Potter at 6'7", coming from the backside and making life miserable for Reesing. He had to throw the football before he really wanted to.
2nd and 10 for Kansas. And McAnderson, they had almost a fumble with Reesing on the handoff, and McAnderson stopped near the 42 as Sue makes the tackle for Nebraska.
This is where you don't want to be as an offense. You don't want to be 3rd and 10. You don't want to be 3rd and 7 or more, because defensively you can be very creative with your pressure packages.
McAnderson lines up with the quarterback Todd Reesing. 3rd and 10 at the 43. They come after him. He's got a man, and it is complete. And that will move the chains as once again Dexton Fields on the receiving end this time. And they'll mark it inside the 30 at the 28-yard line. Larry Asante covering the strong safety spot.
Good job picking up the blitzer. They sorted out. Grigsby gets picked up. Offensive line doing a good job. The route is run, getting out of his break very effectively. Fields creating some separation. Found a soft spot in the zone. Nice effort. Good. It all started up front, picking up the blitz, giving Reesing vision to see downfield. 1st and 10. They fake to Sharp.
Reesing got time now. They chase after it. Fired in the end zone. It's a jump ball and out of play. Intended down there for Marcus Henry.
He had 2 down there. Briscoe was down there wide open long before Marcus Henry came in the area.
Well, you know, when you've got guys like Briscoe at 6'3" and Henry at 6'4", and both athletic, get up in the air against those shorter DBs, that's not such a bad play, Dave.
Watch how open he gets. I mean, they let him go. That's who I was like, man, wide open. And I'm thinking, that's where he's going, but the ball sails. I mean, I don't think he saw Briscoe. If he had seen Briscoe, the ball would have gotten out a lot earlier, and Briscoe's there for an easy 6. Broken coverage by Nebraska.
Kansas up 21-14, looking for more after being down and trading scores. They lead it by 7. Reesing runs right through the defense, and he's got a first down as Octavian makes the tackle.
I'll tell you, he can accelerate, and when he makes his mind up, he gets after it. This guy has got a capital C on his chest for competitor. He is a playmaker. And Reesing is an outstanding college quarterback. Makes his mind up right now. Plant the foot in the turf and get upfield. Get as much as you can before Octavian takes you down.
McAnderson in the backfield now after Reesing. 11-yard pickup. Reesing has run for 193 yards and 1 TD this year. He's thrown for 2 today. In trouble here, scrambling. Gets it off, and it is complete at the 10-yard line. I don't know how he found his man, Derek Fine. Fine makes a good, tough catch and a positive out of what could have been a big loss.
Well, that's what we talked about at the top of the broadcast, how Todd Reesing creates and extends plays with his feet. And here's a great example of it. He beats the pressure, gets to the outside, throws back across his body. He's got some riverboat gambler in him because that could have gone the other way. Murillo could have stepped in front of the receiver and gone the other way, but Fine, with the bigger body, fought him for the football and won the contested catch.
That's what helped Reesing get this job when he came on last year when Meyer had gotten hurt. And now McAnderson, another TD for Kansas as Brandon McAnderson takes in his second score of the day, and Kansas now up 27-14.
And I'll tell you, the guy that should take a big tip of the cap, watch Rodriguez, watch the big tackle, stay with your block, stay with it, pancake, finish the block. And nice job on the edge, but Rodriguez finished his block, and McAnderson got around the corner, and then he cut inside his wide receiver's block. Good job of finishing up front and on the edge.
And Scott Webb, busy man here in the early going for his fourth PAT of the day, and it is good as Webb, the senior out of Tulsa Union High School, makes it 28-14. Beautiful day, homecoming here in Kansas. McAnderson gets his second touchdown of the day. And yeah, production is what counts. 6 rushes, 13 yards, and 2 TDs as Kansas got him standing again for the kickoff. What's new? 28-14 with 10:34 to go in the second quarter. Bill Land, Dave Lapham, Emily Jones with you on FSN College Football Saturday. This just one of a couple of huge Big 12 games we've got for you. Don't forget, later on from the Rocky Mountains, it is Missouri and Colorado in a key Big 12 North game. Grigsby will not return that one. Let's send it down to Emily Jones with a pretty successful coach in his own right, the basketball coach, Bill Self.
That is right, and Kansas largely known as a basketball school, but Bill Self, I would imagine you don't mind sharing the spotlight this time of year.
I hope we're both. You know, football team's just doing great, and you can tell by the atmosphere and the number of people here, it's just great for our school.
The only program in the nation to have men's basketball and football ranked in the top 10. You guys are top 10 preseason. What does this do for your program?
Well, I think it's great for recruiting, and it's great for all the sports to get exposed by football. And we're getting a lot of national exposures now, and it's just good for everybody. There's a new energy and enthusiasm on campus right now. Personally,
Mark Mangino has done the right things. It's hard not to root for him. It's, I would imagine, good to see him doing so well.
Oh, yeah. You know, we pull for everybody, and he's been a great supporter of our program. And, you know, we're obviously good friends, and we've tried to be a great supporter of his. But really, there's only one team right now in the top 10, and that's his, because we haven't played anybody yet. But hopefully we can play at the same level his guys have played to.
Finally, Coach, expecting big things out of your team this season?
I think so. I think we're going to be good. I love our guys. We return most of them. Now we need to get healthy. We need Brandon to get healthy, but I think that'll happen. So it should be a fun year.
All right, Coach Self, we do appreciate it. Guys, Kansas a football and basketball school right now.
There you go, Emily.
Yeah, thanks so much, Emily. Best of luck to Bill Self. Right across the slant. Purify trying to stay on its feet, and Purify stumbles, but not until he gets to the 20-yard line. Maurice Purify from Gans. Harper was the tackler.
Harper, he stayed with him and stayed with him. Purify couldn't shake him, and he stiff-armed him and lost a little bit of balance, and Harper stayed after him. But it was just a simple slant. Got inside of Harper, and Harper's desperate now. I have to stay after him. Purify's trying to push him away.
Get away.
He was going to try to push him by him and cut behind him. He stiff arms now. He says, let me try the other thing. Let me slow down and try to push you by me. Oh, no, I lose my balance, and down I go.
60 yards, his longest reception of the year, and Nebraska down 2 touchdowns, saying we better get back on the board. It's first and 10 at the 20.
Coach Mangino saying don't give up that inside to Purify.
The fake to Lucky. Gans in trouble, escapes the rusher, keeps it 25 and out of bounds at the 20-yard line. You know, Dave, before the game, it's fun visiting up people in the press box talking about Kansas and Bill Self and basketball. Somebody from Nebraska said, how many days to the season opener in basketball? Right. That's what they used to say here at KU. The rules have been reversed this year.
And this is fast break basketball on field turf. I mean, there's a ton of big plays. I mean, this is like finishing the fast break. And let's take a look. There's what we're talking about. Emily mentioned it. Kansas, the only 2 programs, football and basketball, in the top 10 preseason basketball and currently in football. Texas is in the mix as well, and took 15 in each.
And a timeout is called here with 9:50 to go in the half. 28-14. Nebraska knocking on the door again. And we'll take a brief break and be right back with more here at KU. Boy, isn't it today here in Lawrence, Kansas on a beautiful homecoming Saturday afternoon.
Oh, you got that right.
28-14 Kansas, but Nebraska a 2nd and 9 on the Jayhawks. 19 with 9:50 to go in this first half. They're going for 6 in the end zone, and it is caught, and a touchdown Purify. Cans, a beautiful pass. Talib beaten on the play, and Purify gets his 4th TD of the season.
And they went at Kansas's best. Talib, 6'2", 205-pound corner, does not get beaten often for 6. Purify is a stud, 6'4", 220 pounds. In the red zone, he is a weapon. Get it up, contested catch. He did a good job of getting his hands on Talib, where Talib could never leave the ground. Purify did, and controlled the football at its apex.
Here comes Henry for the PAT, and Alex Henry takes care of that. So Nebraska, after giving up 3 touchdowns, comes back. 28-21, 8th-ranked Kansas leading Nebraska by a touchdown, and KU will get their hands on the football again as Adi Kunalik will kick it off, and Purify making the connection for 97-yard, capping off a 97-yard drive on a 19-yard TD reception, his 4th score of the year. And Nebraska now pulls back within a touchdown and will kick it off to Kansas with 9:44 to go in the first half still.
Nebraska rallying around Joe Gans. He's playing well, and they're rallying around him.
And it goes to Herford. 25-30, and Herford sheds a tackler. Comes right back into it, but still a great return. Brings it out just shy of the 40-yard line, where Todd Peterson makes the stop for Nebraska after 29-yard return. Here's the Kansas scoring looks today.
Meyer, not quarterback. He's in the double slot. He runs the post, and he scores. Now you get the big boy, McAnderson, very easy on the option. Now you go over the top to his running mate, Sharp. Now you get Anderson back again on the ground. So Anderson's rushed for 2. Sharp has caught a touchdown pass. Meyer has caught a touchdown pass. Little balance, as always, in that Kansas offense.
Meyer, the receiver here on this first down play, got a nice block and picks up some pretty good yardage as he gets across the 45 near midfield. Let's check in again with John Radigan and a Dr. Pepper game break.
All right, Bill Land, thank you very much. Stay in the Big 12 for this one. Iowa State, K-State, and it's Alexander Robinson with a 2-yard touchdown run, his 2nd touchdown of the day. Iowa State looking for win number 2 in the Gene Chizik era.
You never know. Iowa State, a team that's had just a really rough go under first-year head coach Gene Chizik, and trying to pull off the upset of the Wildcats. Here, Sharp gets the carry down to the 47 as McEwen makes the tackle. Well, Kansas, Dave, comes in here as one of 5 unbeaten teams in the country. No one would have thought that back in August. They are 8-0, and they're the only unbeaten in the Big 12, and trying to point toward a showdown with Missouri in the season finale at Arrowhead Stadium.
How about the Big 12 North? 2 representatives in the BCS top 10. Big 12 North has had some big wins amongst themselves, of course, competing, and then also in competition against the South.
Missouri's big game tonight against Colorado on FSN later on. Here's Henry, and he takes it down to the 5-yard line. Oh, mama. What about the offenses? Andre Jones on the play. Reesing connects with Marcus Henry.
And Reesing was phenomenal, stepping up in the pocket, avoiding the pressure. Reesing again creates and extends plays. Watch him step up, slide step up in the pocket, and get rid of the football. Perfect throw down the football field. Reesing has got it. It's hard to define, but when a guy has it, you know it. And Reesing knows it. He's got it.
Kansas is approaching 300 yards of offense with 8:34 to go in the half, and another touchdown. Reesing throws a bullet, and Fields on the receiving end this time. Or Henry, I beg your pardon, Henry.
Well, Henry made the reception on the post, and he just gets the inside release. And the defensive backs are giving up the inside too easily. And Reesing just right away seeing it. Defensive back flat-footed, gives up the inside, no help, easy pitch and catch.
And Scott Webb for the PAT, and it's 35-21. They're loving it here in Lawrence, Kansas, 35-21, as the Jayhawks lead it by 14 with 8:30 to go in the second quarter. A sellout homecoming crowd for the 8th-ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks. But their defense that was allowing 10 points a game, it's given up 21, and we're midway through the second quarter.
Both defenses are getting taken apart. The offenses are getting every matchup that they want to get.
Webb kicks it off. Andre Jones drops it, picks it up. Jones dances 15 and hit at the 17-yard line as Kansas makes the stop there. We'll see how Nebraska answers this time. The last 2 scoring drives, Dave, 4 plays at 61 yards in 1:07 for KU. The one prior to that was 80 yards, 4 plays in 50 seconds for Nebraska.
I don't think any of these, let's see, there have been 8 touchdowns scored in this game. None of these touchdown drives have been more than 7 or 8 plays. There have been no double-digit play drives.
Let's send it quickly down to Emily Jones with more on Marcus Henry.
Well, guys, Marcus Henry was voted by his teammates in the preseason as the player most likely to surprise. Coming into today, 32 catches, 585 yards, 3 touchdowns. You can add another one to that number. And also, his nickname is the Mute. They say he doesn't talk very much, but his actions definitely speak louder than any words could.
Yeah, Emily, the coaches and players say he's got the best hands in the team. He's showing it. Big playmaker. He's got some height as well. I mean, a lot of big receivers in this game. Marcus Henry is 6'4", big guy, 6'4".
How about the total offense, Dave? Nebraska has 196 yards of offense. Kansas has 298.
Jeez. There's 8 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the second quarter, folks. Not the game, second quarter.
2nd and 10 for Nebraska from the 17. Expect the big play. Across the middle this time, and again it is not purified, beg your pardon, as the reception is made out near the 29-yard line. Harris makes the tackle on hold. First down markers brought to you by Overstock.com. Save up to 70% on brand name products. Live better with Overstock.com. It's all about the O. First and 10 at the 30 for the Huskers. How about this first start of the year for Joe Gans? Play action. Throwing it here. Nearly picked off. Was that Holt that got a hand on it? Yes. James Holt in the linebacker spot, moving back in that secondary.
Oh, the pressure on Gans didn't allow him to transfer his weight and throw the football. He had to throw off his back foot. As you can see, his pocket collapses in the middle. And look, he has to throw falling away from the line of scrimmage. Can't transfer his weight and put any mustard on the throw. As a result, Holt, taking his linebacker drop, reroutes the football, falling harmlessly behind Talib, his partner at corner.
Gans is 7 of 17 for 189 yards. He's thrown 2 TD passes. He's run for another. And it's 2nd and 10 for the Huskers at the 30. Out of the backfield, Lucky is tripped up here. At the 26, says Aqib Talib. Read it well and stayed with it, made the stop. And no gain.
That's his 8th completion at Gans. 8 completions, so he's got 18 on the season, and he's got 6 touchdowns off of those 18 completions. So every 3rd completion, he's getting a touchdown out of it. He had 10 completions, 4 touchdowns coming in.
And now he's set up with a big 3rd down after a loss of 3 on that last play. 3rd and 13. Gans across the middle, nearly picked off by Talib. Intended for Hardy, and Kansas will celebrate. They finally stopped Nebraska.
Yeah, it's rare that anybody punts the football. the punters today, it's going to be tough for them to earn a letter because both of these offenses are staying on the football field. When the defense finally gets off the field, they go celebrate. That's a rarity.
Fourth and 13, and here is Titchener for the punt. Anthony Webb, the deep man, at his own 33. Good clean kick. Webb makes the fair catch at the 38-yard line, and Kansas up 35-21 will get the ball there. Back down to Emily Jones.
Today is a very special day in the college football world. It was November 6th, 1869, when the very first college football game was played. It was between Rutgers and Princeton. And the Cotton Bowl has teamed up with a number of organizations, including the Jimmy V Foundation for Cancer Research, to raise money for those efforts, support college football, and celebrate this game, celebrate this day as it's close to the day that the first official game was played between Princeton and Rutgers. So we are excited to be a part of college football. This is the 4th annual event, the 4th annual day that will be held, and a very special day. You want to know what the score was in that game, guys?
How about it?
6-4. Safe to say offenses have come a long way, including these two, huh?
Man, and we had that before the band took the field today, I think, is the way these two have been putting it up. And what a great day for college football it is here in Lawrence, with hardly any wind. Temperatures supposed to reach up near 60 today. And it's 2nd and 10 now for Kansas at the 38. And McAnderson toting it out near midfield, stopped at the 49-yard line by T.R. Green, a senior from Omaha.
Finally, somebody gashed somebody in the running game a little bit. Both these teams just throwing the football all over the football field, but this time Kansas does a good job of creating a crease right up the middle for McAnderson to take advantage of. And
how effective has the KU offense been? Well, they struggled to start. The 4 yards, the punt, and then 5 drives, 5 scores.
And I don't think in those 5 drives they ran 40 plays. I think in those 5 drives they probably ran 32 plays, you know, for all those yards and scores. I mean, it has been quick strike for both these football teams.
They had the one drive that McAnderson capped off, 10 plays for 70 yards. That was the first TD of the second quarter, made it 28-14, but everything else has been quick both ways. Mark Mangino got it going here offensively as they do get the first down. You saw the indication. It's on the 49. It's 1st and 10. Meyer is back in the lineup as a wideout, one of the trips on the left side. Now he sets up in the backfield. And a little option. And they toss Reesing to Meyer. And he is stopped near the 48 of Nebraska by Larry Asante. You mentioned, you talk about Meyer. Yeah. He's playing more. Akeem Talib, who's played both ways, playing less on offense.
Well, they're going to motion him a little bit and run the option with him. You know, I mean, you got 2 quarterbacks. You got both of them are athletes. That's part of the 2 quarterback package on the football field. You can run reverses, reverse passes, double pass, throwback pass, run the option pass. You can run all kinds of things. I mean, and right now, you know, you have a situation where Ed Warner, you know, he doesn't have to use them all, but they're all in the playbook.
Reesing again drills his receiver. This one to Derek Fine, a senior out of Salisaw, Oklahoma, on the Nebraska sideline, where Green makes the stop. Yeah, and Kerry Meyer last year threw for 1,193 yards and 13 touchdowns. So he's certainly and got beat out by Reesing in the spring, and Reesing showing you why he won the job. But don't take away from Meyer, who is an excellent player and an excellent quarterback, as well as now a wide receiver and running back and anything else they need.
He's an athlete. This year he's 15 of 19. 15 out of 19 for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
3rd and less than a yard, and Reesing keeps and forges ahead down to the 38. That'll move the chains for KU as Todd Reesing.
He throws Barry Turner. Ran the midline option and just ducked it right up inside of Barry Turner. Barry Turner didn't know, you know, whether to take the pitch, the quarterback, so ended up taking nothing. And he just turns right up inside of Barry Turner and and picks up nice positive yards. You know, the left tackle, Anthony Collins, all the way over on the right side of the field, hustling downfield, trying to throw an extra block to spring his quarterback. That's good hustle from the big boy at 6'6", 310.
Reesing 3 TD passes today. Hands this one off to McAnderson, who has scored 2. And he is stopped at the 37-yard line. Octavian making the tackle. Now, Todd Reesing, it's a guy that was announced this week. He's one of the semifinalists, one of just 15 for the Davey O'Brien Award, along with 3 other Big 12 quarterbacks, Bradford from Oklahoma, Harrell from Texas Tech, and Chase Daniel from Missouri. Who'd have thought that going into this season? They didn't even know if Reesing would start, leave alone having a chance to be a national award winner. He finds Meyer, 30-25, danced on the boundary until he is forced out of bounds about the 23-yard line, where Ben Eisenhart makes the tackle.
Once again, the Kansas wide receivers blocking so well. This time Briscoe and Fields on the perimeter, doing a great job. Watch when Meyer catches the football, Briscoe right there, Briscoe's block, down the football field right there, you see Fields block. I mean, that's outstanding. You know, you get edge play like that that picks up extra yards, receivers blocking for their teammate. Everybody's unselfish.
Meyer and Briscoe to the left. They hand it off to McAnderson. A truck could have made it through that time. What a line explosion up front by the big fellas as McAnderson is brought down by Courtney Grigsby at the 11-yard line.
Warren is in a rhythm right now. Ran the option, stretched the field horizontally, ran the wide receiver screen, stretched the field horizontally, then he pounds it right up the middle. So now he's got the defense spread out and then hammers him right up the gut. And where do you go with it?
Well, Kansas is averaging 8.1 per play on offense. And the pitch to McAnderson, the 5, and knocked out of bounds around the 3-yard line on a 1st and 10 that was at the 11, so they could get another first down without scoring. Murillo made the tackle.
And really, Kansas trying to eat some clock on this drive and put points on the board to boot. But if they could hang 42 on Nebraska before the half, would be just incredible.
Well, Nebraska has seen its defense riddled throughout this season, and they come in on a 4-game losing skid, all conference action. Fields and Henry go wide right on a 2nd and 2 at the 3. And in the end zone, incomplete, trying to connect with Fields. Nebraska coming off the loss to Texas 28-25. And Dave, we all kind of wondered, all right, what will they have left? Because they led that game going in the 4th quarter. It looked like they had a great game plan, and then it cratered a little bit, and Texas finally got to get it going. They come out strong here today, but they're in trouble right now.
They did. I mean, they're going to be a little mentally fragile. A 4-game losing streak for the first time since 1961. That'll wear on you a little bit.
Reesing on the option. McAnderson can't quite squeeze into the end zone. So Nebraska trying to toughen up Tier Green there. Now, did he get enough for the first down? Of course, is the big.
And if he did, looks like it's 4th down. They've got the fist up, 4th and short. Do you kick the field goal or do you punch it in? And Mark Mangino's going to call timeout and talk about it, I believe.
They're going to call time here for a spot to bring out the chains.
Now, as he was stretching, his feet were already out of bounds. So when he stepped out of bounds, where was the football? His foot's out. Where was the football? And, you know, his body's out of bounds. So that it's definitely not a touchdown. The officials spotted short of the first down. That's what they're going to be taking a look at. Mark Mangino wants to encourage replay officials to take a good look at it and see where McAnderson's foot was out of bounds, and then draw a straight line down from the football to the playing field to see what spot it is on the field. Watch again, McAnderson, as he works his way to the sideline. As he gets bounced out, left foot, he drags it out. It's definitely not inside the pylon because he's already out of bounds. But is it before the first down marker? And it is.
Yep, first down. And we remind you again that not a touchdown, because once he's out of bounds, Dave mentioned, you always look for the pylon. Yeah, right. The ball touched the pylon, but he isn't ruled out of bounds. But he got the first down, so it's 1st and goal from the 1-yard line now. So I can remind you that the replay officials, they're looking at every play. It's like they have their own personal TiVo, and if they need more time, they then call to stop it downstairs. No signal yet here.
You know, it's almost like Kansas would really preferably take a couple 3 downs to score here, milk some clock, because Nebraska's scoring with regularity as well. So you want to. I'm not saying you don't take the touchdown if it's there, but Nebraska with a pretty good charge right there. So Kansas has to line up and do it once again. The clock ticking under 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you know you're going to get it, you don't mind if it takes you 3 more snaps.
Yeah, but you got to get it. That's the key.
They're not worried about style here. They don't, and they forge it in as Texas or the McAnderson takes it in, and that is his 3rd TD. And it's now 41-21. Wow.
And this Kansas offense in high gear today, and a depleted Nebraska defense. They've got injuries at the linebacker position that are hurting them. There's no doubt about it. But they're not getting off blocks like the Nebraska defenses of the past. I mean, Kansas is locking on them like they have Velcro on their hands.
And the kick is good by Webb. And it is 42-21 with 2:43 to go in this first half of play. I'll remind you that a lot coming up on the Sonic halftime report. We'll have a chance to check in with John Radigan, Pat Jones, the coaches, Jackie Sherrill, Chris Sanders. Kansas State losing to Iowa State. We'll have some highlights of that, as well as a top 25 look with more scores. Highlights all on the Sonic halftime report from our FSN studios. Right here, the unbeaten Kansas Jayhawks have finally doubled up Nebraska 42-21.
You know, Bill, a thing in this football game, there have been no turnovers that I can recall. So both teams have taken care of the football. And Nebraska, now in the last 17 quarters, have 1 takeaway. And that was on a zone blitz out of their big defensive end at 6'7". Zach Potter had an interception against Texas. In 17 quarters, they have a mere 1 takeaway. And when your defense is struggling, you have to have takeaways to get them off the football field. That guy's had a few takeaways, so somebody should take it away from him.
That's what I was going to say. Enjoying homecoming. Looks like he's experienced a few of those here at KU.
He's only a freshman.
Yeah, Mom, Dad, send Beal money.
Yeah.
Marlon Lucky, the deep man, and he'll let it go. It'll become out as a touchback, 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, as Nebraska, again, needing something here to give them a little momentum going into the locker room. Kansas, the most points in a half since scoring 49 in the first half against Toledo in 2004. You see the Huskers, 42 points allowed this half, and they're in danger if they have a 3-and-out of giving KU a chance to better that mark.
That game against Texas Tech was the game that Tech hung 70 on Nebraska. I mean, Kansas could do the same thing this afternoon the way it's going.
We'll see what Gans comes up with on a 1st and 10 from his 20. Drops it off to the safety man and takes it to the 25-yard line. Lucky. Holt makes the tackle. Lucky coming in with 55 receptions for 429 yards and had run for 832 yards. He's got 1 long TD reception here today. Deflected, and it is intercepted. There's that turnover. John Larson, the 250-pound senior. Larson comes up with a pick, and with 2:11 to go, KU will take over on the 19-yard line of Nebraska.
That's the old turnover station that you go through. When a ball is airborne, when a defensive lineman gets his hands up and deflects it, and it's deflected in there by the big fella Blakesley, and then get after the football. Once Blakesley got it airborne, now it's fair game. It's there for anybody. And Larson finishes it. That's just outstanding effort right there.
Larson's 2nd interception of the year. Kansas 1st and 10 from the 19. Henry goes wide right. Reesing with 3 TD passes today. McAnderson with 3 scores, and they fake it to McAnderson, and Reesing in trouble, and he spins and is tackled hard near the 18-yard line, picks up a yard. Zach Potter makes the tackle, junior from Omaha, along with Zach Bowman, a senior out of Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah, that was the old high-low deal. Bowman went low, Potter went high.
There's that turnover story for Nebraska coming in. And on the other side, Kansas is a plus 11, now plus 12.
Right.
First in the Big 12, third in the nation. And I think if there's one stat that really means something, that is it.
No doubt. When you look at Kansas's overall numbers.
Reesing to throw it here. Got time and complete to find the tight end.
Under Mark Mangino, when they're plus in the turnover department, they're 6-0 this year, 16-8 overall. When they're even, they're 2-0 this year, 9-4 overall. When they're minus, they haven't had that this year, but they're 8-23 under Mark Mangino when they're minus.
Did you hear the official said timeout?
Correction.
Kansas. Not Kansas State.
Oh boy. Timeout Kansas State in Lawrence on KU's homecoming, no less.
That's a big old gap.
Oh boy. And just you think it's about the time you think the fans may not be paying attention.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to those kind of things. College football Saturday triple header continues here on FSN. It's all presented by Kia Sarah. 9th-ranked Missouri would be battling Colorado tonight. And also Washington State taking on Cal. It starts 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific right here on FSN. Joe Myers, Gary Reasons, and Noxie out in the Rocky Mountains getting ready for that Big 12 North contest. Here is Reesing to throw it and complete to Briscoe. Skips a tackler. He scores! Wow. Kansas another TD.
Boy, he made Tyler Wortman miss. And when Tyler Wortman missed in space, he was gone to the house.
Desmond Briscoe, his 5th touchdown of the year.
And remember, that short field was provided by Larson on the tip ball interception. John Larson right there set up his teammate and finalizing Briscoe for the score. Make a miss. See you later. Get upfield. Pierce the end zone.
And Kansas with still 1:16 to go in the first half. Webb had hit the upright. No good. So his first miss of the season for Scott Webb, and it's 48-21, and it saves Nebraska an embarrassing mark as Briscoe gets his 5th TD reception of the year.
Just kind of pushed this one out there a little bit, and it ricocheted, not through, ricocheted exactly sideways. The old doink off that right upright was not kind.
And how about Todd Reesing? 4 TD passes in the first half, and he's now the all-time single-season TD passer in KU history.
Well, he throws a strike, and Wortman right there overruns it, and inside goes Briscoe, and he's not going to be denied. At about the 4-yard line, Briscoe said, I can do this. I can score on this bad boy.
So 3 plays, 20 yards in 55 seconds after the interception by Larson.
Reesing is completing 5 of every 7 passes so far today. 20 of 28. That is just phenomenal. He's managing the game well, distributing the ball to all of his weapons. Everybody gets involved with Kansas, and Reesing is kind of like the conductor of the orchestra. He's the point guard of the basketball team. He's just distributing. He's doing a great job with it.
I like your math, breaking it down in every aspect there, big fella. Marlon Lucky, one of the deep men here for the Huskers, as Webb boots this one. You know, he's irritated about that miss, so he knocks it all the way deep into the end zone, and Nebraska will get it 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line with 1:16 remaining in this incredible first half. And if you haven't been with us for all of it, Nebraska had the momentum early. They stopped Kansas, got a hand on a punt, and took a short drive, 46 yards, and then Meyer scored. Lucky scored for Nebraska, and they're up 14-7. And then Kansas got 3 straight TDs before Nebraska answered again. And then KU has controlled since then with 3 more touchdowns.
They've scored touchdowns on 7 straight possessions of the Jayhawks.
Unbelievable.
It's nuts.
1st and 10. Gans delivers across midfield, and it is complete and hit hard near the 40-yard line. Is Purified. Talib applies the hit.
Purified knows he's going to get hit in the middle of the football field. Protection's been pretty good most of the day. That's the only way Nebraska can move the football is to throw it. And that puts a lot of pressure on the offensive line. They're doing a good job of keeping Gans clean.
20 yards on that pickup. Lucky out of the backfield. He scoots to the 45-yard line before he goes out of bounds. Talib covering on that play.
Bill Callahan must be thinking, this is amazing. You know, you just can't anticipate all the things that have gone wrong from an adversity standpoint for Nebraska, and injury being one of them. Injury's no excuse, but you lose your quarterback, you lose your right guard, your right tackle, both your outside linebackers. I mean, it's just been Murphy's Law for the Cornhuskers.
Yeah, they were struggling when they were somewhat healthy, and now they are in huge trouble. Right down the middle, Peterson, and he takes it inside the 20. So Nebraska, well, they got all day. There's 46 seconds the way this one's been going.
No question about it. And
2 timeouts remaining.
Thornton can't quite get there, and that was just a great job of threading the needle by Joe Gans. I mean, he has great touch on this football, and he understands the geometry of throwing it down the middle of the football field. And man, that's just an outstanding play on both ends of it.
35 yards on the play, across the middle again, and a nice pitch and catch there, as this time Swift is the receiver, and they take it down inside the 10-yard line with 38 seconds to go, and they reset the change, so the clock stops until they get things set there.
Swift had a big game against Texas last week, 6 catches, 112 yards, and he's a big double move guy.
Gans in trouble and pitches it out of the end zone. Stops the clock with 25 ticks to go. Pressure put on by Sadiq Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammad was clipping at his heels, trying to take him down low around his feet, and Gans's feet are too quick. He is athletic now, and I believe that he can run that 4.5 40.
Well, Gans is 13 of 25 for 261 yards. And you think, well, boy, Nebraska must be having a great half. Well,
they are offensively.
You get 21 points, you got to say the offense doing their job. You got to stop the other guy once in a while. They're on the verge of scoring again. 2nd and goal from the 10. Swift in motion, flags thrown, hold everything.
This was an early start by Nebraska. You don't want to take penalties in the red zone like they're about to, it looks like.
Ball start. Offense. Number 70.
That would be Matt Slauson.
Big right guard. Look at that right tackle. Big old number 72. Javario Burks is a true freshman. 6'5", 320-pound true freshman. 18 years old, that big boy.
Got his first start against Texas last week when they decided to forget the red shirt. They needed him to play, and he played very well. Now 2nd and goal from the 15 after the penalty. 25 seconds to go. Nebraska still has 2 timeouts. Gans across the middle and incomplete. Boy, a bevy of DBs back there for KU. Thornton among them covering.
Yeah, he made a diving attempt at that football. You know, when you're in the red zone, the field constricts. The windows get smaller and they get tighter spots to get the football in there. And Thornton was upset. He thought he should have had that interception, and he had a good shot at it. There's no doubt. He sold out for it.
3rd and goal. 21 seconds remaining. Lucky the lone back behind Gans, who goes under center. To Lucky. Out of bounds with 16 seconds to go.
I want to make sure they can get the field goal team out there to get points out of this drive. That's exactly what they're going to do.
And you might be thinking, oh, you got to be kidding me. Why would they kick a field goal when they're down 27? Because we're still in the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dave, at this point, you have no idea how this one's going to go, even though it looks pretty bleak for the Huskers.
Well, and on your third down situation here, it's fourth down, I should say.
Yeah.
It's 4th and 10. I mean, that's not an easy call in the red zone.
Henry, who's 6 of 6, sets up here at the 12 for a 22-yarder, and it is good. So
cut the lead. It's exactly in half. They're halfway there. They have to climb 24 more points just to tie Kansas. I mean, that's an unbelievable first half when you hang 24 on the board and all the yards they have, but they're only halfway home.
So Henry with the, I say, 27-yard field goal, and now, as Dave mentioned, 48-24, and Kansas wouldn't dare score again, would they?
This first half, Bill, is taking about 2 hours to play. Each quarter, it's been like 2 games. Each quarter ends up being its own little game. It's incredible.
Yeah, are we in Lubbock? It's like it's a Texas Tech contest.
Well, it is, because Kansas runs the spread offense. I mean, they're similar to Texas Tech, the way they go out there and run their offense. And Nebraska's fallen behind so far. They have to abandon their ground game and throw it just to stay in the game. I mean, both these football teams are going to be throwing it almost every single down, it looks like.
Well, and I say, could Kansas score again? Well, they've returned 4 kicks for touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 on the kickoff and 2 on the punt. And Herford, who is the top kickoff return man in the nation, is deep again. He stands at the 5-yard line. So I doubt if Nebraska, well, you never know.
They'll squib it. I'm sure they'll probably keep it on the ground, yeah.
As Kunalik now will do the honors from the 30, and
boy, he kicked a line drive returnable.
Right to him. Herford at the 12. And takes it out to the 38-yard line with 5 seconds to go. And Kamek made the stop for Nebraska.
You got an injured Nebraska Cornhusker working his way off the football field. It's not in great shape. Looks like Tenarce, yeah.
So he's being helped off. A 27-yard return that time by Herford, as Mark Mangino's unbeaten Jayhawks will have 1 play, and it looks like they'll just take a knee here with 5 seconds, and that is it. So, wow.
Mark will be happy with his offense, but he will have a lot to say to his defense at halftime in that locker room.
As an impressive offensive show, 48-24 Kansas. Let's send it down with Coach Mangino as our Emily Jones. All right, I've got some problems with the mic. We apologize for those problems. And a Sonic halftime report is coming up as Kansas leads it here 48-24 at the break. Jayhawks over the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Big 12 football.
They had no penalties in the first half, no turnovers. Nebraska had 1 that ended up being costly. But look at these numbers. They're mind-boggling. Yards per play. Both schools over 7 yards per play. Explosive plays over 20 yards. There were 10 of those. I mean, both quarterbacks were phenomenal. Reesing 20 of 28 for 273 yards. Gans in his first start 14 of 28 for 266 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. Reesing threw 4. Kansas tried to stay balanced. Kansas ran the ball 24 times and threw it 28. Boy, I tell you, in the red zone, both teams just absolutely controlled the action. It was a sheer offensive clinic in the first half, no doubt about it.
All right, let's send it down now to Emily Jones.
All right, guys, well, I spoke with Nebraska head coach Bill Callahan as he came out of the locker room. I asked him about what he said to his team at the half. He said, I told him to keep fighting. Obviously, we've got some things to correct on the defensive side of the ball, stop the big play. But if we could come out here and get 7 on our first possession, then come up with a turnover or a 3-and-out and get a score after that, it's a whole new ball game. He said we put up 24 points on a darn good defense. I don't know if that's been done all season. Of course, it hasn't on Kansas, but he said there's still a lot of fight left in this team.
All right, thanks very much, Emily. And yeah, if you're Bill Callahan, you're going over there that boy, if we need a turnover if you're Nebraska is what you got to be saying. You're going to have to come up with, they had that block punt and they responded and got a touchdown out of it, but they're going to have to get an easy score or two, I think, Dave, to have a shot against the 8th-ranked Hawks.
In 17 quarters now, they have 1 takeaway. And when your defense is struggling, you have to take it away more than that.
Lucky returned the kick. Kansas puts on the pressure on 1st and 10. And Caleb Blakesley, 6'5", 290, a sophomore from nearby Ottawa, Kansas, comes in to bury Gans.
And Kansas at this point with a 24-point lead. First 2 possessions of the second half are critical. If they can get after Nebraska like they did on that pass rush right there and choke Nebraska's offense down and make it a 3-and-out, and their offense take control and go on a ball control and take some time off the clock, and really they could do some damage to Nebraska right away in the 3rd quarter.
Lucky the only back next to Gans on a 2nd and 17 after that sack that cost him 7 yards. Here is Gans, got time, got a man, incomplete. It closed quickly there on the receiver, number 86, Sean Hill, a senior from Naperville, Illinois, in the Chicago suburbs. Rivera was covering. And how about the Stars? Well, there was a bunch of them in the first half here. If you take a look at Reesing, 4 touchdown passes, and Reesing with 21 in the year at KU Newmark. McAnderson, 3 scoring on the ground. Joe Gans, well, and Gans today getting his first start. Those are pretty good, Dave.
Heck yeah, those are good numbers. I mean, that dog will definitely hunt. But, you know, his defense can't do anything to stop his compatriot, or his counterpart, I should say, Reesing and their offense at Kansas.
3rd and 17, and Gans delivers a strike across the middle. Peterson to the 39-yard line, and Stuckey made the tackle.
Gans has shown great composure and poise in the pocket. He's taken some hits today. This time his offensive line doing a good job. They're doubling McClinton in the middle. They're not going to let him beat him in the pass rush. And that ball almost slipped through the hands, but did a good job. Peterson did a recovering and corralling that football. A beautiful throw by Gans.
And Gans kind of figures in this Murphy's Law season for Nebraska that his only pick today set up a KU easy score. And what a grab by Nate Swift on this pass down to the 35-yard line.
So he knew he was going to get lit up by Resby, and he still caught the football.
And if you thought Nebraska was throwing in the towel at the half, think twice.
And watch Swift in the slot in the middle, just runs down the football field and takes the hit, but still keeps on picking.
Swift last year 2 TDs on 22 receptions for 374 yards. He came in today with 3 scores and 29 grabs. He's had 4 career 100-yard games, and it's 1st and 10 right here. Gans keeping the football, and KU trying to stay up with him. He sheds tacklers and may have another first down as Mike Rivera makes the tackle at the 25. Depending on the spot, it'll be a 1st and 10.
And Nebraska saying just the opposite of what Kansas said. If, you know, the 1, 2, 3 and out or a defensive stop, Nebraska saying, look, immediately we have to claw into this 24-point deficit. We have to make this a 1-score game somehow. The only way we can do it is put points on the board offensively and hope our defense can make some adjustments and slow Kansas down. This is definitely as big a track meet as I've seen in a long time.
Well, and particularly with Kansas defense being so strong and coming in here today, and it is a first down. The story, I think, Dave, everyone thought, well, at Kansas, everybody the last 3 weeks has mauled Nebraska with the running game.
Right.
And Kansas has done it in any way they've wanted, but Kansas, the defensive team, has had their own share of problems stopping folks today.
And really, Nebraska's done a decent job against Kansas's running game. 24 carries, 106 yards. And they really battened down the hatches decently, but they can't stop Kansas' passing attack at all.
They've been giving up the last 3 games 346 yards a game on the ground. Here is Lucky out of the backfield. He breaks the tackle and takes it down inside the 15, and it may be another first down. As about 10, Aqib Talib makes the stop. And Holt had a shot at Lucky but couldn't hang on, and Shows you why Marlon Lucky's got such good numbers.
Yeah, and Lucky, he lines up anywhere, and he checks down, makes himself an available target. You can understand why they want to get the ball in his hands as much as they possibly can. Very, very solid runner and a great receiver.
The junior out of North Hollywood, California, ran for 111 last week against Texas, caught 6 for 41 more yards. And it's 2nd and 1 here, and a time called by Kansas. So Mark Mangino saying, let's not go any further. Let's see if we can straighten this out. We'll take a brief break as well. You're watching it on FSN, Big 12 football. The 8th-ranked Jayhawks lead at 48-24. 15 of Kansas, the opening drive of the second half here in Lawrence, with the Jayhawks leading 48-24. Marlon Lucky lines up behind the quarterback Joe Gans, getting his first start. In place of the injured Sam Keller, who was out for the season with a broken collarbone that was suffered in the Texas game. Lucky on the pitch. KU corrals him, keeps him in bounds as well near the 15-yard line.
And remember, Lucky can throw the football when they run that play. He has a 20-yard touchdown pass this season, and he's got another touchdown pass during the course of his career as well. So he's an all-purpose guy, can do it all. A very complete running back. Kansas did a good job of playing their gap responsibilities, staying on their feet, and pursuing to the football. They had a bunch of bodies around Lucky that time.
But he did get enough for the first down, which was the purpose of that carry. And as a result, 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Peterson goes wide to the right side. Lucky stays in the backfield. Swift wide left. And a stoppage again.
Timeout, Nebraska.
So now Nebraska.
Timeout, Nebraska. That's their first timeout.
So certainly a little unusual with both teams taking timeouts in the first 5 minutes of play here in the second half. And certainly for Bill Callahan, got to be thinking, well, we've got to score, and this is as important right now as any play in the game, because we may not need them if we don't get one here.
Well, I think both coaches have called timeouts because adjustments made at halftime. They're having a hard time figuring out how to match up like they were so successfully doing in the first half.
Want to remind you tomorrow night to be there live for the first show that breaks down the new BCS standings, the official BCS rating show. It's exclusively on FSN. Find out who's moving up, who's moving out, and who's moving on towards a berth in the BCS bowl game. The official BCS rating show tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. only on FSN. And let me remind you, Kansas at number 8 in those ratings, Missouri number 9, Oklahoma number 6, and Texas number 15. And Oklahoma and Texas playing later tonight. Oklahoma against Texas A&M. Texas in Stillwater to face Oklahoma State. Gans rolling out, still moving, dumps it, and it is incomplete because he was still juggling the football. That was Sean Hill. Couldn't find the handle while he was in the end zone.
Gans did everything he could to extend that play. Man, he stayed after it, stayed after it, and he should have been rewarded with a touchdown. I mean, he threw a perfect ball for Hill, and Hill could never corral it. But Gans rolling to his left, squares his shoulder pads up, and he just shot puts a little easy one, a little bit behind, but still catchable football. Gans a little disappointed because that one should have been 6, and it wasn't.
So it's 2nd and 10. The ball on the 15-yard line now. Again, Lucky alone back with Gans there. They come after Gans. He fires, and it is complete. Touchdown. Purify, an absolute sensational grab, and Gans a gutsy throw because he got rocked.
Yes, he did. There was an unimpeded run free to the quarterback, and one-handed catch by Purify. One-handed catch with that big right mucker. Unbelievable play for him to be able to secure this football like he did. And he's, again, working against the best that the conference has to offer in Toledo.
So the 15-yard TD pass to Purify, his second score today. Henry on for the point after, and it is good. So Nebraska scoring first to start the second half, but they still trail by 17 as Purify, great grab on our Toyo Tires scoring drive. 9 plays, 78 yards, and the first half of what Bill Callahan wished for, a touchdown, is good, as now he hopes for a 3-and-out against this Kansas high-flying offense. Jake Wesch will kick it off this time. Wesch to kick it off. Saw Herford, the deep man, and he will get it about the 8-yard line. Up the middle at the 30. Got a little wall. 40, 50, and scampers out of bounds. This guy is absolutely amazing. He's been averaging 31 per return. And Herford gives KU great field position, and first and 10 at the 44-yard line of Nebraska.
Man, that's just a dagger to the heart. And look at that, 3-and-out to start the game for Kansas, 3-and-out, and then 7 straight touchdowns. Unbelievable. 7 straight scores, and they have a short field courtesy Herford to start the second half. And man, Herford's got vision and patience in that return game, just like a great running back.
Reesing 20 of 28 for 273 in the first half. Add a few more here as he completes this one to Dexton Fields. Reesing with 4 TD passes in the first half. T.R. Green makes the tackle on the play. McAnderson was their leading rusher in the first half with 13 carries for 48 yards and 3 scores. And their receivers, Henry, Fields, Meyer, and Fine, all had 4 first-half receptions. Sharp and McAnderson both in the backfield now on a 2nd and 8. McAnderson gets the carry and says, come along for the ride, as Octavian does, and finally wrestles him down near the 35-yard line, just shy of the first down.
And again, in an effort to be balanced, Kansas comes out and throws on first down. They don't pick much up. They run the ball on second down. So 2nd and long, it's contrarian to run it. 1st and 10, contrarian a little bit to throw it, although it's 50-50 there. And they try to be balanced in the first half. They ran it 24 times, threw it 28. They were much more successful with their play selection, though, in throwing the football.
On the year, they run for 215. They pass for 264. You'd think they would like to run it a little bit more just to keep it away from Nebraska, since their defense is struggling a bit today. Sharp on the wide run and beats a rock out there, but does get the first down as Grigsby makes the tackle at the 31, make a 36-yard line, I should say.
Sharp does have acceleration. He gets from 0 to top end speed pretty darn quickly. And he runs that 4.40. And Kansas, they're starting to accumulate some athletes. I mean, they've done a good job of recruiting character players, but they're starting to get players not only with character but with good physical abilities.
1st and 10 at the 31, and Sharp, another one. A little power as well as he takes it to the 26-yard line, and Asante makes the tackle. And first down markers brought to you by Overstock.com. With the convenience of shopping at home, you can save up to 70% on amazing deals from Overstock.com. It's all about the O's. The Kansas O has been absolutely unstoppable for Nebraska today. 2nd and 6 now. Huskers trailing 48-31. McAnderson. A strong run for a couple. Zach Potter makes the tackle.
You know, you look at the guys up front for the Jayhawks. They have a walk-on at left guard, Adrian Mays, who, number 66 in the blue jersey, came in and they really weren't paying him much of attention. They gave him a helmet and some shoulder pads, and he just kept working and working. And he started working against McClinton, who's an All-American candidate defensive tackle, get better and better. They scholarship him in the summer. He's starting at left guard. They have at the right guard position Chet Hartley, a junior college guy.
First down. Go ahead there, Dave.
Excellent newcomer. So it's kind of a mix of guys. You know, Anthony Collins, a prize recruit that's panned out for him at the left tackle position. And they're getting it done by different methods and means, but that's just a big old scrum of bodies bouncing it to the outside. And that's the vision we're talking about with McAnderson. You just saw a big conglomeration of bodies, nowhere to go. Bounce it. Keep your feet going.
As a result, 1st and 10 at the 20. 8:30 and ticking here, third quarter action. Kansas, its first possession of the second half, and complete and going out of bounds is Marcus Henry at the 14-yard line. You know, we talk about recruiting, Dave, and you can make what you want of recruiting services, but one of the services rated Nebraska from 05 to 07 recruiting classes as having 3 5-star, the top level recruits, 26 4-star recruits, Kansas having none.
Right.
And it is absolutely amazing what they have done. And as you mentioned, they're getting better and better players, but this team is so solid in so many phases, and they don't have any bad guys.
No, they have good character guys, and they're coachable.
Reesing in the end zone, touchdown Kansas. What a strike again for KU, and this one's Briscoe again. And Reesing now with 5 TD passes.
You talk about another newcomer. Briscoe is a freshman, a true freshman, 6'3", 200-pounder. That's his 5th touchdown reception of the season. No, that's his second today. That's his 6th touchdown reception of the season. This kid's a true freshman. So I mean, the future does burn bright, and they have found some guys that kind of overlooked, and Mark Mangino and his staff has recruited those guys and developed them to good football players.
And the kick is good by Webb, as Briscoe, who played on a state title team in Dallas, and Briscoe's second touchdown of the day, and Kansas now at 55. Nebraska 31, and Reesing tying a school record that's set by Ralph Miller back in 1938 with his 5th touchdown pass of the day. And Reesing, he hadn't had an interception counting today in the last 4 games.
That's amazing.
It's as much prior to today as what he hasn't done. He doesn't make mistakes.
No penalties, no turnovers today by the Jayhawks. That's playing smart football.
Grigsby moves up to about the 11, dribbles it, now it brings it back. 20, 25, and brought down near the 30. We'll check in with John Radigan on Dr. Pepper game break.
Bill, thank you. Ohio State is putting the pedal to the metal, and it's Chris Wells doing most of the damage. Here he is with his 3rd touchdown run of the day. A 23-yarder makes it 38-17. How about Wells? 21 carries, 169 yards, and 3 TDs. Ohio State looking to go 10-0, Bill.
Thank you, John. Yeah, could be interesting. The Buckeyes could be coming down to a big battle once again with Michigan, which wouldn't surprise most people if you didn't witness the first 3 weeks of this season. As here, it's Nebraska trying to come back and nearly picked off in the secondary. Revere and Mortensen put the pressure on Gans, and Holt down there nearly breaking it up, or nearly picking it off, I should say. Here's your BCS standings. Ohio State rolling toward another win. There's 5 unbeatens. Kansas the only one from the Big 12, but 3 Big 12 teams in the top 9 of the BCS. And if you're hoping for a Big 12 team to get into that title game, you hope for Kansas to continue unbeaten and Oklahoma to win out, and they would meet in the championship game in San Antonio. That would give the league the best opportunity to have a team in the title game. 2nd and 10, the ball on the 28.
And jumping a little bit early is left guard Jacob Hickman. That's going to be a false start on him. Looked like he moved and drew the defensive lineman. But he's pleading his case, and I don't think with much success.
Offside.
I guess it was
Defense
successful.
with contact. Number 93. 2nd down.
McClinton said, I was drawn. He lost his plea.
Boy, they've been excited about this guy's play. The senior from Garland, Texas, in the Dallas suburbs, Lakeview Centennial High School, 9.5 tackles for loss coming in. And he was a 2nd-team all-conference player last year with 6 sacks, and he has just been a stud all year for that Jayhawk defense.
He's the only senior on the 2 deep.
That's
the 2
right.
deep. Not just the starting, on the 2 deep. And Bill Young earlier in the week was saying, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but I was thinking about red shirt, and I wished I would have, because I'd have everybody back next year.
2nd down and 5. Incomplete. And the sideline look that time. Intended for none. Let's send it down to Emily with more on McClinton.
Well, guys, you're talking about James McClinton drawing that flag just there. Defensive coordinator Bill Young said he is the quintessential overachiever. He loves his aggressiveness. He's quick off the ball. He did say, though, maybe a little too quick, because he has gotten a couple of offsides penalties, but he does love the aggressiveness.
And he is is the leader, unquestioned leader of that defense on and off the football field. They rally around that big boy.
3rd and 5, and see if Kansas can slow down Nebraska. Huskers at the 33. Gans changing the play. Play clock at 4. Gets it off in plenty of time. Dumps it across the middle, and it's complete. And a first down, I think. Yeah, I think he got past the marker there. Peterson's topped by Wheeler and Laptad.
Nice job by Gans, making a very accurate throw once again. It's a wide receiver knowing he's going to take contact, running that shallow cross, making the first miss. McClinton was in the zone blitz. They were running that nickel defense with a blitz linebacker to drop defensive lineman out. The big boy McClinton was trying to make a drop, not quite deep enough.
Peterson, the junior wideout from Grand Island, Nebraska, moves the change. 1st and 10. They go deep this time, and it is incomplete. Harper down covering that time on Franz Hardy. One turnover today, an interception by the D lineman John Larson. Otherwise, Gans has had quite an afternoon, as Gans today is now 19 of 37 for 345 yards and 3 scores. Reesing has thrown for 23 of 31 for 295 and a record-setting or record-tying 5 scores.
I think McClinton's offside penalty was the first penalty on Kansas on the day, and they still have not turned the football over.
2nd and 10 from the 39. Gans. And Lucky. Incomplete. Rivera covering.
Lucky looks back at him. That was a little hot. Didn't have to make it that hot. And every single down, being down by 24 points, Nebraska is going to fire and fall back. Bill Callahan isn't even thinking about the running game. And here he faces the 3rd and long, and this is where Bill Young comes with that very, very multiple look nickel defense.
3rd and 10 at the 39. 4 wideouts. He was showing blitz, and they come after it. Gans over the middle, picked off by KU. Stuckey to the 40. Makes Lucky miss and is tackled inside the 25. Darryl Stuckey, a sophomore from Kansas City, as Carl Nix makes the tackle.
Carl Nix bulldogged the steer right there. Big old Carl Nix took him down, but that's unfortunate for Joe Gans. Overthrew that football, and Stuckey made him pay.
Stuckey's 2nd interception and the 2nd turnover of the day for Nebraska.
Playing deep cover 2 or cover 1 with a safety in the middle back there all by his lonesome, and he's just reading the quarterback, and the ball's overthrown, and there's the finish of it as Carl Nix says, nowhere further for you, Mr. Stuckey. I'm going to stick you and take you to the turf.
1st and 10 on the 23. KU flipping it. Nearly caught, but he didn't have possession as the ball, as he went out of bounds. Dexton Fields, a receiver.
Pretty good coverage by Nebraska as Grigsby, got his hand down in there in front and tried to rake at the football and disrupted the timing of that.
7:14 to go in the 3rd. 55-31 Kansas, and the Jayhawks want more. 4 wideouts for Reesing and crew. McAnderson stays in to block across the middle, and it is complete down inside the 5-yard line as Dexton Fields, Henry, I beg your pardon, Marcus Henry with the reception, and KU will have a 1st and goal.
Well, and Nebraska getting beaten off the line of scrimmage, giving the inside up once again. And this receiver makes a great play for his quarterback, because that was not the most accurate throw right there by Reesing. Threw it behind him, and Henry still made an unbelievable play on the football. Great adjustment and showing flexibility.
McAnderson, flag stops play.
Little false start by the blue up front. And Coach Mangino doesn't like that, taking a penalty in the red zone.
Randy Crystal.
False start. Offense. The whole line was moving. Center didn't snap the ball.
Yeah, center forgot the snap count. When that happens, the whole line moves, the center holds the ball. He forgot the snap count. You can't have the center or quarterback forget the snap count. Everybody's moving except the center. It's not snapping the football. Everybody, the count was 1. He thought it was 2. Everybody moves. The ball's not moving. That's a problem.
That lets the head coach know exactly who the culprit is, too.
Yeah.
Whole line was moving, but that wasn't their fault. Now 1st and goal from the 8 after the penalty, and McAnderson, looking for his 4th score of the day, is brought down. Maybe no gain. We'll see what they mark it as. Zach Potter makes the stop.
And every single time Kansas has penetrated the red zone, they pounded it in for a touchdown today. Will they do it again?
The unbeaten Jayhawks 8-0. First 8-0 start since 1909. And looking for number 9 here today. And up 55-31. 2nd and goal from the 7. Reesing all day. Now flushed out a bit. And incomplete. Trying to connect with Henry again. And getting there was Grigsby to interrupt the play. And it'll be 3rd and goal.
Well, he could have run the football. Look at the lane as he comes out of pocket. Look at that opening.
Wow.
I mean, there's all kinds of real estate to run the football, but he said, you know what, my job is to throw it. And I think I can squeeze it in there. Well, he couldn't quite squeeze it. I'm not sure he would have scored, but he would have definitely been well inside the 5-yard line on this 3rd down snap.
Reesing hadn't made many wrong decisions today, that's for sure. What an afternoon he's having. And another one. TD pass. Kansas. Briscoe gets his 3rd score. And Reesing a school record 6 touchdown pass today.
Boy, it's like shooting fish in a barrel for Kansas today in the red zone. I mean, they are just doing anything they want in their passing game. And it all starts with the protection. Nebraska trying to stun and pressure the quarterback and run a little shallow cross. Takes a little bit of time to do that. Briscoe comes clean, and that's his 3rd touchdown reception of the day, the true freshman.
And 62 to 31.
From Hitachi.
Well, the Kansas fans at a sellout house here on homecoming for the 8th-ranked team in the country. You see them shaking the keys, telling Nebraska to hit the road. I wouldn't say just yet, even though it's 62-31. Franz Hardy is the deep man on the return from Webb's kick. And he circles to the 20 and then dances out of bounds around the 23-24-yard line. And let's send it down to Emily Jones.
Hey, guys, we are here with the Jack Link's beef jerky fan of the game, and this one really was a no-brainer. I mean, look at this guy. Sir, what is your name?
White Owl is my Indian name. Jim Tucker or Saul is my real name.
You have the best Jayhawks outfit on, in my opinion.
Well,
how long have you been following Kansas?
I've been following them since 1971.
Okay, now that's a true fan. Now, I have seen some moves. I want you to share those dance moves with our viewers. Let's see it. Look at this. Now those are some moves. Don't stop now.
Smooth.
White Owl.
Plenty to cheer about, guys. This White Owl can dance.
I'll tell you what.
He can move.
Hope I have half that energy at that age. We need more of that.
White Owl.
One of 51,910 here, and that's an all-time Memorial Stadium record attendance. Last year they set it 51-8-2-1 in the Kansas State game. Gans on a 2nd and short, and it is incomplete, intended for Swift. 4:53 to go in the 3rd. 62-31 Kansas. Holt put the pressure on that time.
And again, Nebraska can do nothing but throw the football every single snap. When you've had 62 hung on you, even though your offense has generated 31 points, you're in such a deep hole that it seems like every shovelful you take comes right back down on top of you. You can't get out of the hole.
You need to throw out what you put up already to match KU and shut them down. And speaking of shutting down,
out.
and loose one, and KU signaling they've got it. And Rivera and Holt were there. Let's see as they sort that pile out. Yes, Kansas ball. Stuckey, I believe, with the recovery.
Well, that makes Nebraska minus 11 on the season and Kansas plus 13.
Quentin Castile, the runner here for the first time today.
And really just put the helmet right on the football did Holt.
Look at Rivera made the hit, and Holt
puts his helmet right on it.
Yeah.
And Rivera's over the top, and Holt just hit right on the football with his helmet and knocked it out of there. Watch Holt as he comes in low. His helmet hits right on the football, and he just spears it right out of there. Are they saying that he didn't lose possession before he hit the ground? They may be taking another look at this one. The ground can't cause the fumble.
Yeah, it is under video review. As well, let's face it, Nebraska just simply can't suffer another. They can't have another turnover really anywhere, but particularly at this part of the field.
Yeah, they already gave up one short field on the batted pass interception that Kansas took advantage of for a touchdown.
And then the last one was a short drive, was it not?
And remember, the call on the field is huge, because unless there's indisputable evidence to reverse the call on the field, the call stands. Is there indisputable evidence? Does he still have the football as he's going to the turf?
After video review, the play stands as called. First down, Kansas.
And I think if it had been called, no fumble, he was down, that would have stayed as well. There was not indisputable evidence with the shadows and everything else on that replay to see if he had full possession of that football or not.
So the Jayhawks, with 451 yards of total offense and 62 points, get it back. The third turnover of the day. KU a +3 on the day to go +14 on the year. And 1st and 10 at the 30 of the Huskers. And Reesing dancing around with time. Now chased out of there. He'll unload it, and it is complete at the 22-yard line. Jeff Foster making the reception.
That's a nice effort. Little tap on the sideline with possession of the football. He practices every single day. And Reesing, nowhere to go at the football. Buys a little bit of time. The pass protection's outstanding. Nebraska coming into this football game had generated 9 quarterback sacks. And they haven't gotten to Reesing today. So that's a problem. They have 11 takeaways on the season and 9 sacks.
And they run it here. About a yard as Octavian makes the tackle on Sharp.
So basically that's saying that they're not doing anything to cause problems to opposing offenses. Nebraska, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, they led the nation with like over 50 quarterback sacks. And of course, a lot of those guys are in the NFL now that were those contributors, but there wasn't anything in the cupboard to replenish the guys that they lost. And they go from 50 some odd sacks 2 years later to 9. It's amazing.
McAnderson on a 3rd and 1. First down easy as he strolls down to the 11-yard line. Philip Dillard, a sophomore from Tulsa, with the tackle. And let's check in for a Dr. Pepper game break. Here's John Radigan.
All right, Bill Land, thank you very much. High drama in this one. Wake Forest lining up to kick the game-winning field goal. Sam Swank's 48-yard try is wide right. And Virginia holds on to beat Wake Forest 17-16. Number 23 holds off number 24, Bill.
All right, thank you, KU. Virgin to score again, do they?
Yes.
Getting in the end zone, Jake Sharp, another touchdown. You can't break away from this one. You'll miss something big. Jake Sharp gets another TD, and Kansas rolling it up.
They're just getting after Nebraska. Runs a little bit of a blitz. Kansas offensive lineman out in front getting their blocks. McAnderson, lead blocker for Sharp. That's what McAnderson's role was last year, lead blocker at fullback, and he filled that role once again for his compatriot Sharp.
Scott Webb with the PAT, and welcome back to Memorial Stadium, Cadisto Field. Jake Sharp gets, let me check here, I think his second touchdown of the day. And as you take a look at the Jayhawks, Their first drive, that was the highlight for Nebraska. Since then, lights out. Hardy deep on the return and picks it. 20. Watch out as Hardy nearly breaks through out to the 33-yard line, and Chris Harris making the tackle for Kansas. This is absolutely insane. 69-31 as Nebraska takes over 1st and 10 on its own 35-yard line. And Kansas total offense 481 yards on 69 plays. Wow.
I mean, a 1-2-3 and out to start the game. Your offense goes down the field after deflected punt, take a 7-0 lead, and Kansas scores in the next 10 possessions. 10 straight touchdowns. Ridiculous.
Nebraska scored on its first 2 and had a 14-7 lead after a 7-0 lead, and then Kansas scored a 14-7 lead. Then KU scored 3 touchdowns in a row and has been in control of the game since then. Harper making the tackle here on Terrence Nunn.
And I can tell you, it's got to be tough on those guys in the huddle offensively. As you keep sawing wood, you're in a big, deep hole. You try to get some things done, and you give the ball up, either turnover or punt, and boy, Kansas right down the field. And you go back out in the field, and you're down by more points.
2nd and 1. And across the middle, and it is complete. As the Huskers, Gans nailed, but Purify with the reception. And Maurice Purify has been one of the many offensive highlights for the Huskers. He's got 2 touchdowns on the day and 6 receptions for 150 yards. Marlon Lucky 6 for 83 in a TD. This one picked off by KU. Mike Rivera with the interception. So Kansas, now that's 4 turnovers.
Yeah, they're starting to fall apart. Nebraska is in the turnover department as well. Rivera recovered the last fumble. His teammate forced it, Holt forced it, Rivera recovered it, and then he comes up with an interception. So he shows himself, you know, I can come downhill at the line of scrimmage and running game, then drop back into zone coverage. And you know what? It's crazy to say, but I don't think Gans really saw Rivera. So people are saying, why would you throw the football right to Rivera? With pass rush in his face and big bodies, I don't think he saw Rivera.
Kansas with McAnderson. And here's McAnderson, who you might think on that play, maybe he's going to head be out of bounds. Well, hey, you're up 69-31. You're keeping it inbounds. Nebraska almost overran, and he cuts it back for a few more yards before Dillard makes the tackle.
And they stopped the clock to move the chains, so because he generated a 1st down. And that was the game we were talking about. Texas Tech hung 70 on them, and they're in danger of giving up more than that today.
And KU's most points in a conference game all time was 58 against Baylor earlier this year, and here they have 69 today with a couple minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Steinkuhler makes the tackle here.
The once proud Nebraska black shirt defense is in real trouble. It really is sad to see.
It's a shambles, and it along with their demise, it's amazing that we'll call this play. Here's McAnderson, comes out of that little bump and goes ahead to the 50. But Dave, it looked like Bill Callahan was turning the corner. He had a rough start at 5-6, then they go 8-4. Last year 9-5. They win the crazy Big 12 North, and since then it's just been one nightmare after another.
And Kevin Cosgrove he's like, I don't know what to call. I mean, anything I call, it doesn't matter. Kansas just blocking us up. We can't get off blocks. We can't separate and make a tackle on people. And right now it's tough to turn that momentum around when it's a train rolling downhill on you like that.
3rd and 1 at midfield. Sharp gets the carry. And another 1st down to the 45-yard line of Nebraska. Nebraska had given up 49 to Southern Cal, 40 to Ball State. To me, that was an indicator that this defense was in trouble. And then 41 to Missouri, 45 to Oklahoma State. The last 2 weeks, 36 against A&M. And then last week, the real heartbreaker down at Texas, where they actually thought they took a step forward as far as the way their team played before falling 28-25 to the Longhorns. But a huge step in the hole here today. 1st and 10 at the 45. 4 wideouts again for KU as Reesing ready to unload it on a record-setting day for him with 6 TD passes already. Fine as the receiver.
You know, you look at the Texas game last week. In the 4th quarter alone, Jamal Charles rushing for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. And at that point you say, okay, Nebraska's psyche is delicate. They're just, Kansas can do anything they want to. I mean, it's almost like playing 7-on-7. It's almost like that there's no pass rush that Reesing has to worry about, and all he's doing is playing perimeter catch with his wideouts, just like in 7-on-7 in practice.
916 yards of offense here today. Sharp bumped hard and stopped at the 40-yard line. Ricky Tenarce, the sophomore from Los Angeles who was shaken up earlier, makes the play here. Good to see him back on the field.
You know, when you look at last year, and that was last year, Nebraska's defense down the stretch played well. They played Oklahoma tough defensively in the Big 12 championship game. They played well defensively against Auburn in the bowl game. And Coach Callahan said, you know, they played championship-type defense down the stretch last year. But then, man, not this year.
Well, FSN football scares the FSN, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 game of the week, and the Jayhawks pouring it on. Jake Sharp and crew as we go to the start of the 4th quarter here, and it is 3rd down with 4 to go for KU, and McAnderson in with the quarterback Reesing. Blitzing is Nebraska. Reesing escapes it, and another great catch by Briscoe, and that's a 1st down. Briscoe with 3 touchdowns already today makes a great catch before Murillo finally brings him down, and Desmond Briscoe his 5th reception of the day.
And he's got 3 touchdown passes off of those 5 receptions, and that's just great extension, making a play on the football. That's just phenomenal athleticism. 5
catches, 52 yards, 3 scores. Marcus Henry has 6 for 101 yards to lead him with 1 touchdown. And Sharp dances across to about the 28-yard line. Jake Sharp. And let's check in now with John Radigan, a Dr. Pepper game break.
Still land big doings in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Dontrell Savage scores for the Oklahoma State Cowboys on their first possession. And then Colt McCoy is picked off. It's Jacob Lacey going 39 yards the other way. And the Cowboys have a 14-0 lead. Remember, though, Texas has outscored Oklahoma State 134-7 in the second half of the last 4 games of this rivalry, Bill.
Yeah, that probably scares OSU. It's like, uh-oh, it's same old format, but they got to be excited in Stillwater. Reesing is sacked on this play here as Nebraska comes through with Tyler Wortman, junior from Grand Island, Nebraska, in a starting role today with all the injuries there. Speaking of Oklahoma State, let's take a look at the South standings. Key matchups in the Oklahoma today, because you got Oklahoma and OSU both 3-1, and they're both playing those Texas schools. Texas is at Oklahoma tonight, and A&M is at Oklahoma, and Texas, you see right now, losing to Oklahoma State. So a lot at stake in those 2 games, Dave.
No question about it. And Oklahoma State is where Kansas travels next week. And Oklahoma State is a different team in Stillwater. They are tough to deal with in Stillwater.
Here is Reesing. Complete. Briscoe now couldn't hang on. The other thing, Oklahoma State's a different team, is Dontrell Savage was hurt early, and he's taken a very good offense and made it an unbelievable offense that's so explosive with the running game.
They are a different football team with him back there lugging the pig. Bill, you're exactly right. I mean, he gives them another dimension, and they are very talented. I mean, they can put points on anybody, and it's going to be a challenge for this Kansas defense next week out in Oklahoma State.
Well, it's a 4th down, and Kansas with Webb for a 51-yard field goal attempt. Scott Webb, whose best is 48, and this was well short, and Nebraska will take over. So time on the field with 13:03 to go, and 69-31 Kansas. to the live action. Gans under pressure, throwing it, nearly picked off. It is picked off. Another INT for the University of Kansas, Justin Thornton. And Thornton rumbles down to about the 37-yard line as Thornton gets his 4th pick of the year.
And wow. Kansas right now is playing very, very deep with the safeties, because they know that Nebraska just has to throw it every down, and they're just laying back there waiting for deflections, waiting for overthrows, and they're doing a good job of reacting to the tip football. And Thornton comes up with a big takeaway.
All right, Yamaha ATV game summary. You've had let's summarize it with 100 points here today, and Kansas still firing and throwing it as this one is complete to Dexton Fields and brings it to about the 28-yard line, close to well, maybe a first down. See where they spot the football.
They're signaling first down. They're signaling move the chains, so it's a fresh set of downs for Mark Mangino.
First and 10, 4th quarter with 12:29 to go. And Reesing with a record-setting day of 6 touchdown passes. He gives to McAnderson, who has scored 3 times today. You've got Desmond Briscoe, who has scored on 3 touchdown passes. Philip Dillard made the tackle on McAnderson that time. And Reesing, for the moment, Dave, 30 of 41 for 354 and 6 scores.
Boy, just a game of pitch and catch for him. Not enough pressure. He was never sacked. He did extend plays and buy time with his feet, though.
And McAnderson still on his feet. Goes out of bounds down near the 5-yard line. Well, and I don't know if anybody saw this kind of passing day for Reesing, because if you look at the last few weeks, last week 180 against A&M, Colorado 153, Baylor 186. It's been more of the running game, but today it's everything.
Yeah, it is. And Nebraska just not putting up any kind of resistance right now. They can't get off blocks and make plays.
So McAnderson, will he score again as he is wrapped up around the 6-yard line? McAnderson on the day, 24 carries and about 113 yards, depending what they give him there. Pierre Allen makes the tackle. Redshirt freshman from Denver for 24 rushes, I should say now. 113 yards and 3 scores. What a day for the senior from right here in Lawrence.
And, to me, it's mind-boggling to think about feeling sorry for Nebraska with that storied program that they have. But this afternoon, it's starting to get to the point where you start to feel sorry for them.
McAnderson, Ian feeling sorry for him. Touchdown number 4 on the day for McAnderson. And can you say 75 points for Kansas? Eisenhart couldn't come up with a tackle, and McAnderson and the Huskers now have allowed more points today than in any other game in their storied history. Wow.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable is all I can. I can't imagine what the Husker Nation is thinking right now.
What I'm amazed is many of their fans, as Webb hits this one, have remained. I mean, they have as good of fans as you can see in the. Our graphics folks are spot on. That is not a mistake, and that's a Nebraska fan somehow forcing a grin. 76-31 Kansas. Bill Land, Dave Lapham with you. Highest single team scoring effort in Big 12 history here today as the Jayhawks continue to pour it on. And Nebraska, Andre Jones is deep, and Niles Paul as Scott Webb. Tell you what, got to be getting a little tired. I mean, goodness gracious.
His right leg's going to be 2 inches longer than the left when he's done today.
So here comes Webb's kickoff. Could we just replay that, and I'll lay out for a minute. And Niles Paul will down it there, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Well, you look ahead, Dave. Kansas getting their 9th victory today, and they got at Oklahoma State and Iowa State before they face Missouri at Arrowhead in a game that is already sold out, which could be for the Big 12 North Championship. And wow, what a scene that could be if Missouri can continue to win. And they got a key game against Colorado you'll see on FSN later this evening. Here's what's left for KU as Nebraska keeps it on the ground here. Gans hands it off, and Halu with the carry. Roy Halu, a freshman from Danville, California, been averaging 4.3 a carry.
You know, when you look at Kansas in the preseason, the media selected Kansas 4th in the Big 12 North, number 4. And Coach Mangino even admitted, look, you know, I thought I had a good football team, but to say back in July that I would have predicted 8, no, I really can't honestly say that.
Again, Halu with the ball as Nebraska now, it would appear, after throwing it almost nonstop, has just conceded and said, all right, let's see if we just can't get out of here without any more humiliation. Chris Harris makes the tackle. Interesting to see how much more they'll throw the football. Wright and Springer making the stop for Kansas.
And I think that maybe that's what Coach Mangino was looking for, some kind of cue from Coach Callahan that wasn't going to fire and fall back every snap because, you know, he's worried about, you know, allowing points.
And the Huskers with Halu again, stopped by Springer. Well, yeah, but we all noticed at the meetings down in San Antonio back in July, and we'll get back to that in just a second, about Kansas and their attitude. I want to remind you that the first down marker is brought to you by Overstock.com. Live better with savings up to 70% on amazing deals from Overstock.com. It's all about the O. That Coach Mangino had a confidence about this team. Sure. They went back after going 6-6 last year, and they looked at every play and said, hey, we've got to learn to finish football games, because they felt basically 4 plays cost them 4 games. Well, they certainly learned from it, didn't they?
They did, and it was for different reasons they weren't finishing football games. So, you know, I think that the schedule that everybody, you know, was kind of derisive about, Kansas hadn't played anybody. What that schedule got for them is a confidence of pounding people. And all of a sudden, you start to build more confidence because you're pounding people. And it carried over. And look what's happening today. I mean, this is what their mindset is, to get up on people and keep your foot on the throat and pound people into submission. And there's something to be said for that. I mean, that confidence that they got by going 4-0 in the pre-conference games was huge.
3rd and 6 for Nebraska at the 34, and Gans completes this one. And down the sideline for Nebraska is Hunter Patiller.
Guys, you talk about how Mangino and his team have handled success. He says these guys are tough, they're intelligent, they're well-rounded, and we have a system in place, and it stays in place regardless of our opponent, regardless of our record. There are no talk of BCS bowls, bowl games, period, or rankings. And he told his team, you know what, you should have the same friends a year ago that you have today. He said the coaches are going to be on your side, will be your best friend, and will also be your worst critic. All that matters is what you and I think.
Emily, 1st and 10 at the 47. Well, and Dave, you're talking about pounding people. You know, they win those 4 games: Central Michigan, Southeastern Louisiana, Toledo, Florida International. They had a week off. They go to K-State. K-State's fresh off a win in Austin. They beat their rival coming from behind and finishing a game. Then they pound Baylor. They hang on out of Colorado. And I think that's when all that toughness started to settle in. Right. They've won all 3 road games this year. They'd only won 2 road games in the Big 12 in the previous 5 seasons under Coach Mangino.
Absolutely. And you know, I think momentum's an unbelievable thing. And confidence is too. It's like a narcotic. When you start to get a little bit of it, you want more.
2nd down and 8 for the Huskers. Gans with 8 minutes to go, flips it in the backfield, and ball carrier across the 35 to the 30, and Halu carrying the ball once again.
You know, the thing that Coach Mangino has done a good job of, as we take a look again at this little toss, and I like the big boy out in front, showing some ability to move and redirect his body in space. Big Carl Nixon. They did a good job of sealing the edge, and the receivers did a good job down the football field. Nice execution by Nebraska on that snap. Coach Mangino has eliminated distractions. There's no such thing, you know, and that's how you handle success. You eliminate all the distractions, and you just do your routine, like Emily was talking about, no matter who you're playing or what the deal is.
Yeah, and I think this team played with a chip on their shoulder through a few games where people said, all right, they haven't beat anybody, and now it's like, you know what, we don't care what anybody thinks.
Yep,
and it's amazing, this whole BCS thing, where you start talking about it. If you win all the games and you're in a reputable league, most likely you're going to be playing for a lot of chips at the end of the season. You don't really need to worry about anybody else if you win them all.
The wins take care of all other business. All you have to do is focus on a week-to-week basis, and everything else takes care of itself. Always has, always will.
2nd and 5, and Lucky back in the ball game, and he was brought down near the 19-yard line by Jake Laptab. Our Whataburger, what a play, and what a play it is. One of the highlights for this Nebraska team was Mo Purify's one-handed TD grab.
Man, it's like he's got stick him on that right mucker. Whoop, stick it out there and boom, it just sticks. Fly paper. Unbelievable effort by Purify, who is a very gifted kid. 6'4", 220 pounds, got great speed, obviously tremendous hands, and he's hard to get on the ground. He's so physically strong, he's hard to tackle.
6 receptions, 150 yards, 2 scores for him. Halu in the backfield again. Nebraska reshuffles. And it is 3rd and 2. And they come to that right side where all those bodies are. And Halu has got the first down. And down near the 10-yard line before Philip Strozier, a redshirt freshman from Kansas City, Missouri, out of Rockhurst High School, makes the tackle.
And as you described, Bill, when Nebraska made the shift that they did, they out-leveraged Kansas' defense. Kansas didn't quite make a big enough adjustment, and they were out-gapped at the point of attack by the extra bodies. And for that reason, Nebraska was able to get to the perimeter, get outside. And that's the chess match, you know, and Bill Callahan knows of what he speaks offensively. There's no question about it.
1st and 10 at the 11. Halu met with resistance at the 10-yard line.
You know, I think Bill Callahan finally said, you know what, I'm going to go on a drive and run the football because I don't want to expose my defense anymore. They've already had 76 hung on them. You know, if Kansas is going to keep pouring it on, I'm going to try to protect my own defense by running the football, keeping them on the sideline, and protecting them and limiting exposure. And here's some thumping still going on. I tell you, you know, it's college football. You got to be tough or you're going to get hurt out there.
Speaking of crazy seasons, Iowa State, I believe, as a final, has beaten the Kansas State Wildcats today up in Ames, Iowa. Who'd have thought that? A team with 1 win on the year. And Halu on the reception is stopped around the 8-yard line.
You know, Halu is more like the Marlon Lucky type guy. You know, he's a good receiver out of the backfield, 6 feet 210. He's got the same body type, same stature as Lucky. Quentin Castile is the hammer, 6'1", 245-pounder. Cody Glenn's more of a hammer as well, but Halu is like Marlon Lucky, and I think they want to see if they can develop another Marlon Lucky type guy.
3rd and 7, ball on the 8, 4:43 remaining here. Gans in the end zone, caught it, but he was out.
Great effort to catch that football, Purify. You know what? You got to like a kid like that. I mean, here he is. They're down 45 points, and he's still battling like heck to make the contested catch. The right foot definitely down on the white chalk. No catch, but you can't fault his effort.
Senior out of Eureka, California, 2nd-team all-conference pick last year. Had a big game against Kansas last year when Nebraska won in a double overtime up in Lincoln. Wow, what a turnaround as KU thumping them 76-31. And they go for it on 4th and 7, the ball at the 8-yard line. Gans again looking for Purify and got him this time for a TD. Purify gets the touchdown, beating Harris on the play, and it's 76-37.
Oh, Chris Harris, freshman, true freshman. He stepped up with Kendrick Harper's injury, and he did a great job for Kansas. Kendrick Harper is healed up. He's got the starting job back. but it was 16 against 16. Chris Harris in the blue against 16 in the white jersey with the red number, and Purify was more of a man on that matchup. Senior against freshman, and the experience showed.
Gans' fourth TD pass of the day, 3 of them to Purify, and they'll go for 2 here. Lucky in the left slot. Gans going right across the middle, and it is complete for the 2-point conversion to Terrence Nunn, I believe. I beg your pardon, HAD's Swift. So pick up 2, and it's 76-39. Purify with his 3rd TD reception of the day, and Maurice 7 receptions, 158 yards. One of the few bright lights for this Nebraska team. You know, if you'd have told Bill Callahan, we'll give you 39, you like your chances to what? Stay within 30? Amazing. 76-39 as Kunalik to kick it off again, and Stuckey and Herford are deep, and Herford at the 10. 20. Still on his feet. Herford, boy, he is shifty. He falls back near the 25, and we'll be back after this word from Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottles. Kerry Meyer comes on to quarterback now for the Kansas Jayhawks. Remember Meyer, we told you early on about he quarterbacked here last year, had some injuries, and then it became a battle between he and Reesing. Reesing won it. And now Meyer's been all over the field in different roles, and he gets the quarterback here in the final 4 minutes of the ball game with 1st and 10 at the 27, and the carry taking it to Quigley, and it'll be a 2nd down and 4 after a pickup of 6. .344 counting, and Kansas putting the wraps on a 76-39 win over Nebraska here. And Meyer on the year, Dave mentioned earlier, is 15 of 19 for 130 yards and 2 TDs in the passing game. He scored a touchdown today on the receiving end. And carrying the football again is Quigley here for KU, as Kansas get the opportunity to play a lot of folks. And Quigley coming in 8 carries for 47 yards. He has 1 touchdown on the season and the long run of 22 yards. And it'll be 3rd and 6 now for the Jayhawks. Aqib Talib, who has been used less on the offensive end because of his need defensively in conference play, is now in as a wideout. Meyer on 3rd and 6. Hands it off, and not much doing. Well, close to 1st down for Quigley. We'll see what they give him here. He's knocked out of bounds, stopping the clock at 2:38. Quigley, 6'2", 220, a sophomore from Cleburne, Texas. For those viewers that are watching us on FSN Arizona, FSN West, and the state of Oregon on FSN Northwest, you're going to be seeing number 4 Arizona State at number 5 Oregon, and that's coming up at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. So stay tuned for that Pac-10 Battle of Giants that's coming up in a short time. Again, FSN Arizona, FSN West, the state of Oregon on FSN Northwest. We'll all see number 4 ASU against number 5 Oregon. And can Arizona State continue its unbeaten run? Kansas has done its job. 1st down here, as Kansas is one of 5 teams unbeaten. Ohio State, Boston College, Arizona State, and Hawaii. And all have big games ahead. It is not an easy road for any of those 5. For Kansas, of course, next week in Stillwater, and then Iowa State here before they face Missouri in Kansas City. Quigley in the backfield again on a 1st and 10. The ball on the 37-yard line. And the handoff straight ahead, and Quigley hard-earned yards when everybody in the building knows you're going to get it. Turner makes the tackle. You know, for Nebraska, you take a look at this Husker team that's going to lose its 5th in a row and go to 4-6, 1-5 in the league. Their lone league victory over Iowa State, and it's not any easier. They have Kansas State next week in Lincoln, and that's a K-State team coming off a loss to Iowa State, and then they finish, of course, with their year-end battle out in Boulder against the Colorado Buffaloes. And pending what happens, of course, tonight with Colorado, Missouri, Colorado may be in the Big 12 North title chase. So a lot of key football to go in the Big 12. 2nd down and 9 for Kansas now with a minute 25 and counting, and Kerry Meyer taken over after a record-setting day for Reesing, who had 6 touchdown passes. New Kansas mark. Quigley going wide and tugged down from behind. Let's check in with John Radigan, a Dr. Pepper game break.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Lots more highlights coming up on the Big 12 postgame show, but we got to show you this. Zach Robinson with a 7-yard touchdown run, and Oklahoma State has a 21-0 lead on Texas early in the 2nd quarter, Bill.
Wow. You know, does Mike Gundy show what's happened the past couple of years at halftime to his team? Should he have to remind him? And a wild, wild football season in the Big 12 and nationally. And Kansas counted down here with homecoming. The highest or the largest crowd in KU history on a sellout Saturday. 51,000. 910 to celebrate the unbeaten Jayhawks going 9-0. And again, Quigley running it. And that will be the final play of the game as Kansas, 8 ranked in the AP, the coaches poll, the BCS, and unbeaten at 9-0. 5-0 in conference play. The Huskers fall to 4-6, 1-5 in Big 12, and have lost 5 in a row. And yes, 9-0. Here they come. The Jayhawks stay on top and the only unbeaten in Big 12. Bill Callahan, a rough go for the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers as they fall to Mark Mangino's crew here today, 76-39. For Dave Lapham, Emily Jones, and our entire crew, Bill Lansing, so long from Lawrence, Kansas. Coming up later, the college football kickoff show. Then our college football Saturday triple header continues with number 9 Missouri at Colorado, followed by Washington State at Cal in the Pac-10. It's all on FSN College Football Saturday. Once again, our final, 76-39. Unbeaten Kansas rolls on over Nebraska. So long, everybody.